Can you see the stars align? A night like this can never rewind. Can you hear the wolf cry out to the light? A night like this will never shine so bright. So take a couple steps back as you hear me start to howl. Take a couple steps back when I lose all control. Watch me turn into a werewolf, and I will haunt till the break of dawn. Don't you dare to try to stop me. This is the horn of the black swan. So take a couple steps back as you hear me start to howl. Take a couple steps back when I lose all control. Watch me turn into a werewolf, and I will haunt till the break of dawn. Don't you dare to try to stop me. This is the horn of the black swan.
Don't stop the body rock. Don't stop the body rock.
takes me down, and I bring it on myself. I fall back to you. You keep me alive. All I see is the dark, but when you come out, I see the stars. There are so many stars, but when you shine, you burn my heart and set me up in flames. Set me up in flames. Set me up in flames. Set me up in Your light shines through the darkness, darkness. Your light shines through the darkness, darkness.
Greetings, adventurers, and welcome again to this fantastic esports stage at Insomnia 64. And we're on our first day, and look how beautiful it looks. It's phantasmagorical, and we have one hell of a match to close out today. We have the Belong Arena Clash Rainbow Six Siege Finals, and it has a nautical theme. We've got the Bristol Smugglers versus the Plymouth Armada, and they're going to be playing for this amazing trophy. Check it out. All shiny, it's shiny. It looks so nice. These guys are all raring to go, so I will not delay them. Let's call out our first team. It is the Plymouth Armada. They said they'd conga out, they haven't done it. And facing them in the Battle of the Seas, it's the Bristol Smugglers. Oh, support for Bristol. While they settle down and get into the game, I will give you over to our casters. It's the wonderful Ace of Pyrite in a fantastic shirt and XR Troika.
Thank you very much, Stu. And as you've said, I am Ace of Pyrite, and joined by me, the ever-present at my side, XR Troika.
Not quite as a fantastical shirt as you, maybe, but
I think it's pretty special.
special shirt, Tim.
Absolutely. So, as Stu has said, we are here for the Belong Arena Clash finals of Rainbow Six Siege. It's the inaugural season finale for Rainbow Six Siege. It's the first time it's appeared in Arena Clash, and what a season it's been, especially for these two teams, the Plymouth Armada and the Bristol Smugglers. Remember, these guys have come from getting themselves down to the local Belong store, just coming together as a team. You know, these are guys who don't necessarily know each other previously. They've got themselves down there, got involved, and now here they are at the NEC on the main stage. What a story. How do you think the match is going to look tonight, X?
It's going to be a close game tonight. We can see from previous weeks the way that these two teams have faced off against each other. They've never been, they've never been clear games. They've never been games that you think, this isn't going to be a close game. Tonight will be a close game, make no mistake. Just looking at the record coming through the group stages for Plymouth Armada, they have not dropped a single match. They have lost one map. That was in the playoffs. That's to be expected in a best of three. they're coming in pretty hot favourites.
Yeah, that's literally it for the Plymouth Armada. Only lost one match, so it's certainly going to be a battle.
Yeah.
It's going to be a battle for Bristol Smugglers. They came through second place in their group, losing just one match, I believe, to the Norfolk Nighthawks. And then they've done very well, but both matches, did go to 3 maps in the playoffs. So, you know, there's maybe a little bit of work that's been done there. I'm sure both of these teams have been grafting before coming here. They both want to turn up. We've had a bit of a chat to the teams today, and they're very excited, as you would expect. You know, it's what ultimately, you know, yep, there's prizes on the line and there's things to be won, but this has got to be one of the major elements of the prize for them is just getting to come here today. There's, you know, thousands of people here at Insomnia, really, really busy, really exciting, and I think they're a little bit nervous as well.
I think they're raring to go. You know, it's like you say, the main prize is being up there on the main stage with the people that you built relationships. They may be friends from before you got involved in the tournament, or it could be people that you've actually, you know, got along with and met in the arena and then become friends with and started playing with outside of the arena as well. So, yeah, definitely. I can't think of 2 better teams to face off. Bristol especially would be one of the teams that I'd say has been sort of most improved over the course of the tournament. I think that's probably fair to say. They did lose 2 games early on in the week stages. I think it was week 3 or week 2 and week 5 off the top of my head. So, you know, they've not gone flawless. They've not been without fault, but they've really worked on themselves as a team, and they've really been able to, you know, do what they need to do to get here. And that just shows the mark of a good team, and it shows the improvement that they've been able to, you know, generate and produce throughout the tournament so far.
You're right, X, and I think it's just such a good example as well of what we're trying to achieve with the Arena Clash as a grassroots entry into competitive Siege. It's a real introduction because Siege is a game that varies quite sort of wildly from ranked online play. When you're getting into a competitive world, it is a completely different beast. So it's just really good to see those teams coming in and making those adjustments, making those changes, going back, watching the VODs, and obviously improving and just working on the team synergy, the team chemistry as the weeks go on. And it's been really, really great fun for us to watch them develop as they go, and just see those changes. And like you said, you know, really start putting in some challenges. And in these last couple of weeks, we've had some brilliantly entertaining games. We've said it ourselves, you know, yes, these teams have got things to learn on occasion, and there is little bits of mistakes and stuff, but if the teams are evenly matched, what we do see is some really entertaining Siege one way or another, some edge-of-the-seat stuff over the playoff weeks.
Yeah, and I think that's the clear takeaway. It's that these teams are very equally matched. Despite the records going into this, the way that Bristol have been able to improve themselves, you know, moving forward. I mean, we're having a chat to one of the players earlier, and it's not really a surprise. They've got themselves a coach. So, I mean, that's pretty serious, getting yourself a coach to come down to Insomnia as well, to be able to, you know, help the team through it. So I think that's a mark of something that, you know, really helps to improve the team. And it's probably something that is attributed to their success. But we are going to have a quick look at the lineups there. You can see we have got Plymouth Armada, R1X Slithermore, Dirty Nige, Bumble Bishop, Anxious Emu, and Kick 24.
I'll bet Anxious Emu is extra anxious today, waiting to get going, no doubt. Looking over at the Bristol Smugglers then, we've got some familiar names there. We've seen them on stream once or twice. Very good team. We've got Tenacious D, we've got Kiwi Cam 6, we've got Meads, Whiston, So, and Siam Foxtrot. Let's take a second to talk about Siam Foxtrot, shall we? You know which play I'm going to pick up on there, X. You know, some unbelievable players from Siam Foxtrot.
Siam Foxtrot's work on Zafir has not gone unnoticed.
No, I mean, it's not often you see somebody withstand and then get a 2k clutch in a 1v2 after
diffuser down.
With the diffuser
down.
Yeah,
it was one for the books, and I think there must be a clip of it somewhere. It's definitely well worth watching, but I think that we are going to be heading on into the lobby very shortly. We will have to see if Siam Foxtrot is able to pull any more magic tricks out of the hat this evening, and if that's going to be the difference. But I'm sure they're not going to be relying on luck as much as they maybe did in that fixture all those weeks ago.
What, you know, in terms of maps, X, what would you like to see tonight? I want to see some really competitive maps. I don't want to see anything that's too sort of one-sided, defender-heavy, attacker-heavy. I just really want to see these teams get a good opportunity to go at each other, to be honest.
I think based off the maps that we've seen played so far in this tournament, we've seen quite a lot of favour toward maps such as Coastline, maps such as Consulate. We've not seen all too much Border. We've seen a fair bit of Oregon, not as much as maybe you would expect, but I think, you know, at this level I would like to see less Oregon because it can be very, it's called the 50-50 map for a reason, and it really does sort of weigh heavily in the defender side. So yeah, I'd very much like to see Coastline. I would very much like to see Consulate this evening, and as a third, if we get to it, who knows?
I've got a feeling that we will be seeing a third map tonight. So we will be playing a best of 3. We're in a 12-round format, so the normal game will be played over 12 rounds. If that was to finish 6-0, then we would head into overtime. I've just got word of the maps, and we are going to be seeing Villa, Border, and then it would be decided on Consulate if need be.
Yes, it will.
And what a decider that would be. Absolutely perfect map for a decider at the end of 3 is Consulate for sure. It really is a competitive map.
It's just a map that you can really throw everything at with the aggression, the run-outs, the outside Valkyrie cameras. Everything really comes to fruition on Consulate. But making no mistake, Villa and Border, 2 tricky maps to go up against in the first 2. But Villa especially, fairly heavily defender-sided in some cases.
Villa is a really tough map. You defender phase, you need to be coming out of it 4-2.
Yeah.
You really do need to be taking those out of, for anybody who doesn't know it, maybe the first time watching Siege, we will be going in and the teams will play 6 defending rounds followed by 6 attacking rounds in one block. So that gives them a good opportunity to adapt on the fly. If they go in and something maybe doesn't work just right and they lose a round, they can come back, they can try that same method again, same strategy, and just tweak it and adjust it and see if they can improve things. So we're going to move across now to the hotly anticipated first map of this Belong Arena Clash final between the Plymouth Armada and the Bristol Smugglers. We move into the operator bans for Villa, and the first attacking ban comes out as Dorkaby. Not too much of a surprise there, X.
It is a little bit of a surprise, really, because the DMR isn't favourable on console. It can be difficult to control and difficult to hit those shots, and then with the unforgiving recoil on the SMGs, it can make it a tough gun combination to use, but the ability being very powerful indeed. Maverick, of course, coming out as well, along with Echo. So we are going to see one of the 3 of the usual defender bands banned out at least. This looks like a very quick pick coming through from the Smugglers. And I'm going to bet, yeah, it's going to be the Mirror.
No surprises there, generally speaking. We so often see Mirror, Echo, Maestro. It's generally 2 of those 3. And there is no shortage of that tonight. So moving into round number 1 then, it's all to play for, and these early rounds are very, very important to get them on the board. Let's not forget, it's going to be, if not for all of these players, the first time playing in a LAN environment, on a stage, people in front of them watching, and it just really is a different environment. I think that's one thing that maybe the Belong Arenas does help set you up for a little bit, because you're used to playing in the same room, shoulder to shoulder with everybody, but there's certainly no preparation for being here at the NEC Insomnia 64 live on stage, and that's no doubt going to play a part. And these early rounds, if you can start getting a couple of wins under your belt, it's just really going to help to settle any nerves that they might be and just give those players a chance to bed in. They won't see much past the screens once things get past round 2 or 3, I don't think.
No, I think they're going to be fairly well focused on the job at hand. And yeah, like you say, getting those early rounds can be very important indeed. It can really give you that momentum boost, but we can never write teams off in Siege. How many times do we see a team take the first couple of rounds and then get reversed, swept out of the whole thing? So we'll have to see how this plays out here this evening. We're going to be looking at a trophy and statuary hold first off for the Smugglers. Fairly typical bomb sites choose on Villa, arguably the best defender bomb site, so they're certainly going to be looking to pick up a win on this first defensive phase.
Yeah, as you said, the 2 top floor sites generally being the most popular, Trophy Statue and then the Aviator Room and Bar being the other one. So generally you'll see those. We are on a 2-round rotation, it is called. So basically, if you win a defender site, you can't then play that in the next round. You can't play it in the round after that. You have to have 2 clear rounds after winning a site before you can return to it. And that just forces teams to mix things up and to be adaptable and to use a number of sites in their defences rather than allowing them to just stick to the same one. If they do lose the site, then they are able to go back to it. But to the round at hand, we're going to see Plymouth moving quite quickly towards that master bedroom area. Again, it's very popular when attacking this site to get control of master bedroom, closet and bathroom. You can breach through the wall there they've got the Thatcher that will be able to take the bandit charges off the wall, allow Thermite to get that open, and then you look at getting a plant just on the opposite side of that. But we're a minute into this one now and just starting to look at getting some progress into the map possibly. Plymouth need to be careful here that they don't leave themselves too much to do coming into the late round. They could do with getting 1 or 2 others into the map just to support Bumble Bishop, who is in there and he's getting himself into some fights downstairs with Doc. He's going to come head-to-head with the Valkyrie, but will lose out to Whiston, who will pick up the first kill of this Belong Arena Clash final for the Bristol Smugglers, and that puts them 5 versus 4 up, but there is damage to the Doc and the Valkyrie, but she will come in with a C4 toss from below onto Anxious Emu. 5-3 now. Whiston doing early work for his team.
Nice 2K is going to spur his team on coming into this final minute, and the push does seem to have slowed somewhat from Plymouth Armada. No one really there to back up Ash as she was trying to push clear roamers downstairs. We've got Kick just making his way tentatively to the breach hole. Nige doing a little bit of drone work there. Slithermore's got some bathroom controls. There is a plant possibility here, but without the smokes on Jackal, it's going to be very difficult to pull off indeed, especially with all of the defenders still looking pretty safe over on the site. Kick's going to make his way in and go to the default plant spot and look to start to get this diffuser down. 21 is going to find the kill over onto Nige, but Thermite's job has been done at this moment in time, but it isn't going to be what Plymouth Armada want to see. They are going to lose another man in the process. Slithermore and Kick grabbing 2 of their own, making this a 3 versus 2. It's now a retake situation for Bristol, and they're going to have to do something if they're going to want to try and win out this round. Thatcher searching on in the bathroom. Slithermore with his second of the round. 2 versus 2 now. Slithermore isn't looking in a great position, getting heavily pushed by 2 of the remaining defenders on the Smugglers. Gets 1 kill, can he get the second? He doesn't quite manage to land his shots. The push comes through from the Doc. It's going to be a knife kill to finish things. No, Doc finds that one. 1 versus 1 now. Not a lot of time left to defuse. He's going to have to go for this kill if he is going to look to defuse, but no. Kick playing it smart, sitting over in Astronomy and grabbing the kill onto the Doc, who was left with little option in that scenario but to stick the defuse. Bit of a skin of the teeth round from the Armada.
Skin of the teeth, but it certainly got the job done. They showed some real grit and determination there, losing 2 men early in the round. And the problem that they faced there was getting Ash downstairs on her own to push 2 roamers. It's always going to be a difficult fight. If you've got a heavy roam presence like that, 2 or 3 operators out on the roam, you really do need to go after them in numbers, try and section them off and challenge them 2v1 so that you can at least be getting that trade. Fantastic C4 toss from Whiston on the Valkyrie to get the second kill as well. And, you know, you've got to ask, is it a little bit of a throw from the Smugglers on that one? I don't know, maybe the nerves getting the better of them in round 1. The diffuser goes down, and it always shows, you know, get focused on the objective, get the diffuser down, and it just can flip the round on its head and really sort of fire things up for the attackers. But they did very well there to come back from 3-5 down in a man count.
It was very impressive. The first 2 kills going the Smugglers' way, it looked as if it was going to go heavily their way and that they were going to be able to clutch out that round. However, it wasn't to be. They weren't really able to refrag anything, and all the kills that were coming through for the Armada were just going untraded and unchallenged. I think it's probably wise to switch up bomb site at this point for the Smugglers. They were close, but it was all really based off Whiston. It was a great individual performance from him. He picked up a kill downstairs on the Ash, got a great C4 toss, but it wasn't enough. His team weren't able to support him in trying to hold on to that objective and try and deny the plant from going down in the first place. So switching things up here isn't a bad thing at all. AVG is just as viable. It just requires a slightly different hold. But I particularly like the Maestro coming in. That's going to allow a good couple of bulletproof cameras there that can be moved. And of course, the Legion as well. Do like playing Legion over on 90 corridor. If you can throw a couple down either side of the corridor, you do provide yourself a really nice window to peek on, because if players get stuck with a goo mine in their foot and they're halfway down the corridor, they're left with very little option but to pull it out, and it can often lead to a bit of a free kill.
Looking towards round number 2 then, Plymouth Armada 1 up at this moment in time, but there is an awful long way to go yet in this best of 3, and I'm sure there will be plenty of twists in the tail along the way. We can see here a lot of attention being paid to that master side, again the master bedroom area. Again, another popular area to push. They're just going to move Legion away from his hidey hole there by spotting him on the drone out there in 90 corridor, and that's just going to allow a bit more attention to be paid to this window, and that again gives you good access to site there. And we can see there is a thermite on the board, so there is the potential for getting in there and opening up that vault wall, which can be a popular hiding spot. But first of all, this Jaeger on the roam is going to need to be cleared out. He's doing his job well. He's just engaging, letting them know that he's there. Slithermore with the first kill onto Whiston, and that could be an important one. Traded back out by number 20 there onto Kick 24, so that's going to bring us to 4 versus 4. We can just see IQ has taken a little bit of damage there. Nige gets in with the kill, and that will bring things into Plymouth Armada's favour now as they start to push forward on this attack. Slithermore with a kill of his own, so that now leaves us 4 versus 2 coming into a minute 15. They've got the man advantage and they've got plenty of time. IQ there just using that gadget to great effect to clear out the Legions. Now it looks like we potentially got one player just working in that vault area, which is always difficult to clear out. You do need to possibly open that wall up, but you can see Bandits now just move through to the game room area, and they're going to pretty much be holding that down between Bandit and Maestro. Maestro just holding a lovely long angle through into the aviator room door, but it is not going to be enough to stop Bumble Bishop getting in behind that vault door, which is a very popular plant spot. Out comes the C4 from Bandit there, but it will fail to land. Bristol now need to retake this site, and that's going to be Maestro going down to Slithermore. That's going to leave Bandit with it all to do now. He's only got 50 HP. He's got 3 men to challenge. 2 of them are on full health. The diffuser's down. This really is an uphill struggle now for Bristol to be able to do anything. Bandit's going to move out into 90 corridor. Will take shots and will die to Slithermore, and that is going to be the second round going to Plymouth Armada on Villa.
Slithermore making great use of the IQ there. I think he picked up a 3k during the course of the round and used his gadget as well. Got rid of those pesky goo mines. One of them nearly caught him out on east stairs over there, but he managed to catch it just in time. You can see there the scoreboard: 7 kills, 1 assist and 1 death for Slithermore. Certainly putting the team on his back in these early couple of rounds. Going to switch over now onto the Hibana and try and provide a little bit of utility as well. So really trying to prove that he can do it all this evening. And the Smugglers taking us for a tour of Villa, going downstairs to dining room and kitchen. Now, I didn't question the previous site change. I thought it was a good idea. I'm questioning this one a little bit purely because, okay, you've not won a defensive round yet. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to be changing sites. You can just be changing what you're doing within those sites. And if you're panicking, you're spreading yourselves a little bit too thin, and you may be going to sites that you're not perhaps familiar with, it's gonna, you need to stop the bleeding. You need to just pick a site, stick to it, pick a strat, stick to it, and see if you can get it to work, because just flicking around all the bomb sites isn't always the answer. I hope they prove us wrong, and I hope that they are able to pick up this round, but I think downstairs on Villa can be a very, very difficult place to be. The vertical destruction is almost infinite. Pretty much all the floors can be destroyed. Yeah,
that's it. You get yourself into master bedroom, you get into bathroom, you get into telescope room, and you can really, really open the floor up and rain havoc down, basically. They don't have anybody with that sort of destructive capability, though. No Sledge, no Buck. So potentially not, second guessing this bomb site, and it is an unusual one being downstairs. The other point to what you're saying, X, you're absolutely right with changing the bomb site every time you're losing. The problem with that is you're now on a very difficult downstairs site to hold. I would personally rather be coming onto this site on the back of a couple of defensive wins, feeling good, playing well, hitting shots. You're going to have the best opportunity to to manage to defend this site, whereas if you're already struggling, taking on a difficult site can be a tricky one. They would have been better sticking to one of those more solid top floor sites, I think. But Caster's curse, no doubt, for Plymouth quite often, and we'll see how this one pans out. So round number 3, then we can see some good drone work going on from the from the attackers there, just recognising where those castle barricades are in place and just really getting themselves into position to start executing here and to start pushing towards site. As you can see, some attention just being paid there to get into the map now. Are we going to have them coming together? It looks like Legion from the outline to me. He's just holding an angle there, but won't be challenged. Bumble Bishop just looking to get in through this window. Again, Plymouth Armada have been very patient so far. That's what we've seen. They've not been rushing things, and they're now, with a minute 30 to go, only just getting themselves into the map.
Slow and steady does often win the race, and it does seem like they're pretty happy with half of this top floor control. They do have Legion to contend with over in the vault and gaming room, and I think that could be a goo mine that's just gone off, so he's going to be aware of some presence upstairs. No doubt some of his teammates are calling out that cameras have been shot as well, and that's going to really make his job on the roam a little bit more difficult indeed. 17 looks placed for a bit of a late flank, and I think if he's going to pull it off, he needs to start fairly soon. Legion holding an angle here onto the vault to a crouch peeking Jackal. Isn't going to find the headshot. He's going to go for the wide peek. Is he going to be able to clutch this one out? Smoke grenade comes out from Jackal, but the pre-fire shots are going to be enough, and Jackal will be down. Legion's got to be very careful here, though, because IQ is going to be hot on his heels. 2 kills get traded quickly over on the other side, bringing us to a 3 versus 3. Jaeger trying to rejoin the fray, but Slithermore again continuing his tear, and he grabs that kill onto Jaeger. The diffuser will now start to go down. It's going to be Zafir that is planting the diffuser. Slithermore watching the flank as well. Whiston does manage to get the kills. The diffuser is on the floor and not planted. Slithermore's left with no choice to push in. He puts some friendly fire onto Nige, and Nige will fall. 1 versus 1 now. Whiston getting traded out straight away by Slithermore. It's a round of Slithermore. Headshot to close things out over onto Legion. And he really is putting the team on his back at this moment in time. I think that could have been a 4K.
He really is, Slithermore doing, and that's what you need for, you need to have that 1 or 2 players who can just have those moments where they come out and just really do start cleaning house. You can see there, Slithermore 10-1 across 3 rounds, absolutely not messing about, and that could be very, very dangerous for Bristol. It's something they're going to have to really try and shut down as best as they can, but it can just be so, so difficult when somebody's in that sort of zone, because every shot they fire starts landing. Everything they do just seems to be right. They pop a shot through a barricade and they start hitting people, and if you get somebody on that sort of setup, it can be really, really difficult. So we're going to be moving into round number 4 now. We're going to see Bristol change site again, which I think is a good idea. I don't think they should have stayed down in Kitchen, but they're just not allowing themselves any consistency. They back up to Aviator now, and they're just really mixing those sites up a bit much, and they're not, as I commented earlier, with having the 6 defensive rounds in a row, it gives you the opportunity to say, right, this didn't work, how do we change it in the next round, and to come back and just do things slightly differently. Whereas, by changing sites every single round, they're not really taking advantage of that possibility.
No, I think it comes down to roaming a little bit more efficiently on the side of the Smugglers. They tend to be roaming on their own, and Plymouth Armada are very good at droning. We've seen that throughout the group stages so far. They're very good at droning. They're very good at pushing as a pair as well to push out those roamers. So Whiston's gone for the Cav, which is a pretty lone ranger pick, if you will. It isn't going to provide you all too much utility, but if you do manage to get an interrogation off, then it is going to be worth its while. But it's very, very tricky to do, and I think with the way that Plymouth have been attacking and the way that they've been droning and the way that they've been clearing out these roamers, Whiston's going to have a hard time making any use of that Cav.
I've got to question the laser attachment on the gun as well. One of Cav's real advantages is in being slippery and not knowing where she's coming from, silent step. The laser pointer just gives it away that there's at least somebody in the area. If you see it on a wall, you see it on a doorway. It's all marginal gains, but it's little things like that that can really impact you. If somebody sees that just poking out of a room, then maybe you get yourself pre-fired. But we'll see how that pans out. I'm sure Whiston will probably come in with an ace now on the Cav, 5 interrogations or something, but we'll see. Slithermore then making some early progress into master bedroom. Going to be pushing from this side just to apply some direct pressure to site. We're a minute into the round, so again, you know, pretty much in keeping with the Plymouth Armada timing. We can see we've got 2 of the Bristol operators downstairs on a roam at the minute. We've got Mute down there, and I think Cav with it as the Whiston. So going to see if... I mean, another option of dealing with roamers is potentially... There it is. First kill goes to Cav onto Bumble Bishop. So that is going to be Bristol just making better use of that roam game. As you said, more efficient roam game required just to keep them guessing. It looks like Plymouth Armada have largely forgone trying to chase down these roamers, and it is a valid way of dealing with a roam game. Sometimes is to ignore it, Claymore off the stairs, cut off the rotations, and just focus on site if you know there's only 2 or 3 on there. But you have to be careful that you are watching those flanks, because otherwise you can get hit very quickly.
I think the Armada are trying to do similar to what they've done in previous rounds, and it's good game on the side of the Smugglers to recognise that, be able to remember it through multiple rounds, even though they have come back to this site after visiting a different bomb site as well. So Zafir repelled on that same 90 window, and to get the kill down there, and they got the diffuser down. That's forced Slithermore to rotate all the way around the outside of the map, pick the diffuser up. Now we're in the final minute. Whiston's still unchecked, unchallenged on the roam. Mute, I think, is still playing around East Stairs area. So it could be a very difficult push now for Plymouth Armada, and I'm sure that it's just going to come to a bit of a frag fest when it comes down. Jackal, 1 hit point, and a Dream will go down, as Mute just waits to clear that kill. He is being very cautious, just checking the bottom of his yellow stairs, but the man count has been achieved. Thermite as well, very low health. Slithermore and Kick 24 just making the way into study as well. Kick just holding the angle, looking for the dock peeking outside of Vault, but there's no real reason for the Smugglers to peek. They have still got 5 men alive at this moment in time. It's got to be looking good for them to claim their first round. Slithermore now pushing on into the site. He's getting hit by the Maestro, distracted, but Mute will peek round the corner. Slithermore does go for the plant. The timer is about to hit 0. 17 grabs the kill onto Kick. 2 kills come out, 3 kills come out to close out that round, and well, Bristol have really, really improved, and they've really shown us why they are here and that they are here to play. What a great hold from them. They gave a lot of space over to the Armada there, but they were able to pick up the kills when it counted and keep themselves alive through those engagements. 3-1, round number 5. And I think that that's just the Smugglers getting started.
Yeah, I think that round's probably going to work wonders for the Smugglers just to settle things down. You know, they've now not having to look at that 0 rounds. They've got themselves 1 in the bag, and what they need to do now is build on this. They've got that other strong site, trophy statutory room to go to, and they can just get in there and hopefully get this second win. Then they're staring down the barrel of taking it 3-3, and after coming from 3-0 down, things are looking a little bit better. And I'm really glad to see that Bristol are getting themselves back into it and starting to make a game of it.
And don't forget, not to take anything away from the Armada, but their success up to this point has largely been down to 1 player, and that's been Slithermore. He's been doing great work for his team. I think he's probably on 11 kills and 2 deaths, which is fantastic. You can't rely on that through the whole course of a best-of-3 series to carry you through. And as soon as he starts to cool off a little bit, it's going to take somebody else on the side of Plymouth, or maybe even 2 people, to step up and to fill that gap. And if that gap isn't going to be able to be filled, then I'm sure the Smugglers are going to be able to take good advantage of it. So, a bit of a mental game in the early stages, and it's all about both teams keeping the cool and keeping their composure and being able to make cool, calm, and collected decisions that are going to help them clutch out the rounds. Don't forget, we saw this very bomb site in the first round of this map, and the Smugglers went 2 kills up within the first sort of minute and a half. And then, it wasn't quite a throw. I don't want to call it a throw, because Plymouth Armada did a great job of getting the plant down and really putting the pressure then onto the Smugglers. But it really, really could have gone either way again. And I think if the Smugglers pick up this round, we could really see some momentum shift.
Yeah, I think with a couple of early kills like that, you really need to, be asking questions if you've not gone on and finished that round off, just for yourself, because those are the rounds on defence that you really do need to win if you're coming out and getting that strong early advantage. But we'll have to see what Plymouth Armada do about the roam game downstairs. They didn't really challenge it last round, and they were punished for it. We can see Cavera, Whiston there just making full use of the map and getting all the way down to basement. And basement's an area that's so often forgotten about on Villa. Great for the rotations. You can just traverse one side of the map to the other without generally being seen. So you know, they really need to recognise that and do something about this roam game, because if they just try and push straight onto site again, I think they're going to struggle this time, because it does look like Bristol are learning the lessons. As you said, back in round 1, that was exactly what happened. Plymouth Armada down to 3 men, and they just completely focused on the objective, and that is sometimes the best way to play this game, is, you know, to don't worry too much about the frags. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if there's 4 defenders left at the end of the round, 5 defenders left at the end of the round. If the diffuser's gone down successfully and not been challenged, then you're going to win the round. So sometimes that can be the best method. We can see an early kill then coming out from Bumble Bishop, and that is going to take the Bandit off the board. His job will largely be done in terms of utility, but that's just a nice little starter for Plymouth Armada to start building from. They've got good control over master, over bathroom, over the closet area, and they can start now thinking about getting a wall open and how are they going to execute getting that plant down. You can see Kick24 just waiting outside of the master bedroom with that diffuser. He's just waiting for that opportunity to be created so that he can move in and get that diffuser down. Coming into the final minute now, 5 versus 4 in favour of the Plymouth Armada.
Nige will begin to open the wall, and that is going to allow them a bit of a line of sight over onto Trophy. Slithermore finds a headshot downstairs onto Bristol 21, and I don't think it is going to be traded immediately. Maestro will find one of his own onto the Thermite and Nige. Whiston comes in big with a down over onto Slithermore. Is that going to be an interrogation? Yes, it is in the final 35 seconds. That's exactly what you want out of your Caveira. Man count now at 3-3. Whiston very aware that someone's playing up inside of Astro, but Bumble Bishop not aware at all. Could we see a double? Yes, we are. We're going to see a double interrogation. Kick24 finds one onto 17. 2 versus 2 now. Kick24 and Ash, their locations are going to be known. They're going to have to dip out of the map with only 12 seconds left to go. It's very unlikely they're going to be able to get a plant off. Whiston going for everything. He's going to find this last one onto the Ash. Kick24 did, however, grab a kill over onto Maestro. Whiston playing things perfectly there, running down the clock, not getting greedy, not chasing the kills, and clutching out that round for his team. It's not often you see a double interrogation as at this kind of level of play, so that's going to really help them, and you know, you can't ask for more out of your cavi than that.
Great Caveira players. That's exactly what you want from her. She kept them guessing. She kept working the flanks. She was hitting people, managing to separate people out and attack them one at a time. And that was what allowed those interrogations to come through, because ultimately you put yourself in a very vulnerable position as the Caveira when you do take that 4 or 5 seconds just to do that interrogation, go through that animation. So, yeah, great players from the Caveira there just to keep them guessing, get one kill, get an interrogation, move away, use that information and come from a different angle and then get another one. Yeah, absolutely what Bristol needed from Whiston. Bristol here are going to be looking, if they can get this 3rd round and come out of this half 3 apiece, I think that's, you know, that's a real strength for Bristol coming onto the attack then, because they've got some real momentum. They've struggled early on, but now they've sent a message that we're here to play. Plymouth Armada, I'm sure, are going to be very, very keen to come out of this 4-2 now.
Yeah, it'd be a very strong start, I think, for Bristol to come out of this 3-3. It would have just shown how they've adapted well over the course of the round. But the Armada are more than capable of doing so. I think something that Bristol have started to do in these last 2 rounds is really use the way that Plymouth use time against them. Because the way that Plymouth Armada use time is that they spend a lot of time droning. Usually the first half of the round, they're just setting up the droning, they're figuring out where everybody is, they're maybe pushing a couple of roamers, but largely it's a very sort of inactive phase of the round. They're not being aggressive, they're not pressuring onto things, and that's fine if you've got control of the round. But as soon as Plymouth Armada lose a little bit of control and then still continue to spend all that time droning, the Smugglers are just using that to their advantage, because as defenders, the clock ticks down in your favour. And Bristol have identified that, and it really is something that's, you know, proving very fruitful for them at the moment, is because of how much time Plymouth Armada actually do spend. They can use that against them, and it's come out with 2 rounds for Bristol. So I'll have to see how this round plays out. I'm wondering if Plymouth Armada are going to try and speed things up just a little bit, as I do think that they could do too, especially if the rounds aren't necessarily going in their favour.
Last time out on this objective then, we saw Slithermore come out with a 4K, I believe it was, for the Plymouth Armada, and he was the last man alive, so it really was down to him to win that round for them. So that's something that the Bristol Smugglers can take a little bit of heart in. You know, the fact that you can't always rely on that happening every round. Slithermore has slowed down a little bit. He had a very good first couple of rounds. He's had, you know, a couple of kills since then, but certainly not maintained that pace, which I think Bristol will be happy about. I think he'd have finished on over 30 kills if he'd have maintain that pace. But we can see, as you predicted, X, some good early progress into the map here. We've got Anxious Emu coming in. We've got Nige just working through there as well. Already direct pressure being applied to site. They're just really starting to get themselves set up, ready for an execute quickly, and Slithermore getting a great kill there through using that Twitch F2, and that was far too great a range for the smoke to be challenging with a shotgun. And that's some really important utility that's just been lost there as well. Those Toxic Babe canisters really able to deny that late push, really useful in the last 30 seconds of the round, and I think he's just died with all 3 in hand there. So that was not a clever challenge from the Bristol player, unfortunately. We are going to see Zofia taken out of things as well, and again, that's some really important utility off the map. Those lifelines can be great in helping get a plant down. Nige moving into site now and getting that kill to open things up, allowing Kick24 to move in and start putting that diffuser down. Nige takes up a good position, gets a kill as Wiston moves in. Anxious Emu with one of his own, so that now leaves us in a 1 versus 4 with the Legion having it all to do. He gets one. All he can do is try to break these down into 1v1s as much as he can. He can't take multiple challenges because he'll get traded. He puts shots onto the Ash but won't be able to get the kill. Switches to the pistol and does get the kill. That brings us into a 1 versus 2 now, but time is heavily against him, and it was just a matter of time until Nige managed to finish that off. Look at that angle, holding himself. A nice pixel peek through there and just finishing things off for the Plymouth Armada. That takes them 4-2 and on to the defence.
I think Plymouth Armada are going to be very happy coming out with that scoreline. They've definitely proved the more dominant force on that first phase, and I think that is very just reward indeed. Coming out 4-2, you see the scoreboard there. Slithermore sitting on 12 kills, so he has slowed down since the first couple of rounds when he got 10 within 3 rounds. So, you know, another 3 rounds and they got 2 kills. Not a big problem, but it's something that you're going to start to look to, and you're going to wonder, as the Smugglers, you're going to think, you know what, this guy isn't invincible. We are going to be able to shut him down, and we just have to concentrate on doing so. And coming into their attacking phase, I'm sure that Bristol are going to be trying to clutch up a couple of these rounds. Again, a very, very good execute by Plymouth Armada. They did a great job there of getting the plant down. There was 3 of them committed to it, holding angles as the plant was going down as well. It was perfect. It was a textbook plan. I think Smugglers maybe got a little bit too greedy in a couple of the kills. That Sledge really was just playing far too far up, in my opinion. I think Sledge would have been much better off playing in on the bomb site and trying to smoke off just entry to the room and just trying to burn a bit of time and wait for his teammates to rotate back down onto site. But taking that challenge with the shotgun did cost them dearly. Moving into round number 7 now. This will be the first round with side switch. So it is Plymouth Armada's turn to hit the defence. And it's going to be Bristol Smugglers' turn to hit onto the attack.
As you said, I think that smoke really did cost them dearly in that last round. You know, if we look at some of the best smoke players that we see, it is about keeping yourself in the site, keeping yourself active. They are always very, very good site players. They know the sites inside out, they know their angles inside out, and they're just looking to delay for as long as they can, as you say. Just don't allow the attackers to move into those channels that they want to use. I think Plymouth here have a slight advantage in that they are coming onto the defence now. We know that it's generally a defender-favoured map is Villa. You want to be taking at least 3 or 4 of your defensive rounds, which is going to be sufficient, more than likely, to see this map out for Plymouth Armada. So Bristol Smugglers certainly up against it, but they definitely have the ability there to be able to do it. Quite interestingly, interesting little stat from the attacking side of Plymouth Armada. 3 out of the 4 rounds that they won were rounds where they got the diffuser down. So they were heavily playing the objective. They weren't just in there looking for the frags every time. And we saw more often than not a lot of kills going down after that diffuser had gone down. So possibly something that Bristol will be able to take away. But I tell you what gets taken away, and that's Anxious Emu's head by Wiston. Unbelievable kill. Fantastic peek. I think the Sledge must have known that the Vigil was on the stairs there. And what an operator to get off the board nice and early. Taking that roam game away from Plymouth Armada, and Wiston starting to grab this game by the scruff of the neck. Try to lead his team on and give them some momentum. 1 minute 30 to go.
Still a lot of progress to be made on the side of the Smugglers. Great opening kill and some good shots over onto Jaeger. Jaeger going to be sitting on about 2 health. Just pre-firing out over in onto Study. And we will have Thatcher down, sorry. Nigel's going to grab one onto 15. Whiston going to close things out and make that a straight trade. Bumble Bishop now on the rotate, looking to push through South Stairs and on into Study. There will be a Claymore that will stop him. Bristol 21 finding the kill over onto Slithermore. The plant will start to go down now in a 4 versus 2 situation. Jaeger is very lit indeed, and that will be Jaeger taken out. Bumble Bishop now has it all to do in a 1 versus 4. He finds the first one onto 17 of Hibana, takes out the Claymore, but he's got a long way to go if he's going to look to clutch out this round. Thatcher, I believe, is still down, but can make call-outs for his team, and he's going to have seen Bumble Bishop there. Bumble Bishop now just making his way on into Aviator Room, looking over onto East. There's another Claymore for him to deal with. All this is burning lots and lots of time. He's going to try and stick the defuse, which isn't a bad idea in this scenario, but a grenade toss comes through and push. Perfectly timed there from Zafir, 21. Finding the kill over onto Bumble Bishop. Really positive round there for the Smugglers.
What a nicely executed attack that was. They really knew where they wanted to go. They got themselves into the planting position very early in the round, got the diffuser down. They've learnt those lessons of what worked against them. As I said, 3 of Plymouth's 4 rounds that they won, the diffuser went down. So Bristol have taken that information, got straight onto the attack and gone in, focused on the objective and got that diffuser down, and it's certainly done the business for them, leaving the Legion there in a very difficult situation. Very little that Bumble Bishop could do at that point. It really is just about probably 1 in 20, 1 in 30 that you win of those, if not less. So great effort, but just not quite enough come the finish. So that's going to leave us 4-3 now in favour still of the Plymouth Armada, but the Bristol Smugglers certainly not letting go of this, and this is every bit as close as we knew it was going to be. We knew it was going to be an entertaining game. We knew it was going to be one of those matches that kept you on the edge of your seat, and it is proving to be so already. And we're going to have now a trophy defence from the Plymouth Armada. They're going to choose to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, Plymouth following the form of the Smugglers and making sure that they're showing us everything that Villa has to offer. They weren't anywhere near close enough, I think, to go back to AVG, especially when you've got a site like Trophy and Statuary just there to be taken. It makes a lot of sense to come here now and to try and hold this objective. I'm not sure why they're not bringing the Bandit. I know it is fairly easily dealt with, but it is something that can just burn down the clock a little bit as well. Bringing the Alibi and the Vigil, maybe not too sure of it. I'd be interested to see if Anxious Emu is going to be able to make this Alibi work downstairs. It's a very fast fire rate weapon, is the MX4 Storm, and obviously the Bailiff pistol as a secondary. Can be great for making rotates, it can be great for opening hatches, and that's one of the things that makes Alibi such a good roamer. But I'm not sure if that's something that the Smugglers are going to be all too worried about. I don't know if it's the right pick. I really would have liked to see a Bandit here. I think it could have helped keep the wall. But it looks as though the push is coming through from Study side, so maybe a full roam clear is the order of the day as Whiston. I think you got a good idea of where Vigil was sitting there. Very, very sneakily. He's going to try and... I think he's baiting his drone at this stage. I think he's pretending that he maybe didn't see him, but I think he knows he's downstairs.
That's it. It does allow for some very clever little plays like that. As you say, if you think that the Vigil in his mind doesn't know that you've seen his outline or just caught him before he went invisible, then yep, drive your drone away, make it look like you're still searching, and just like you say, try and bait that Vigil out a little bit. We're going to have Bumble Bishop holding fairly firm there on the east side of the map, just going to be waiting for his opportunity. We can see that Bristol are going to be in with the Zafir and going to be trying to push him, so I'm sure that information has been fed back from Whiston as to where he is, and that is a nade coming in from Whiston towards the Alibi of Anxious Emu, but it won't take any damage. That will do plenty of damage though, as Whiston moves in and gets the first kill once again. How many times have we seen this from Whiston, moving in and getting the game moving for his team, getting that entry frag? Bumble Bishop on the Vigil will get a kill onto the Zafir that was hunting him though. Possibly might have been better waiting for Whiston to just back him up there and push that as a 2 so that you're at least looking at that trade, but that's going to leave us now 4-on-4. Coming towards this final minute, we've got the diffuser in hand. Not too much progress really made towards site. We've got Slithermore and Nige over there. They're holding some nice tight angles, and Relay, we've got Kick on site as well. This is going to be tough for Bristol from here.
I think despite getting the early pick onto the Alibi, losing the Zephyr in the process as well, and how little progress they've made. They've not even touched Master side at all. Jaeger holding an angle next to the statue will be able to take out Thatcher, and it is going to come down to Thermite to try and clutch that kill out, which he will, so it will be traded. 3 versus 3 now, 45 seconds left. Thermite's too preoccupied with the goo mine on the floor and does receive heavy damage from inside of Statuary there, and I think that the player could have rotated on into Master as well, but the flank is still not safe as Vigil. Bumble Bishop making his way over through Study, just being slippery. Going to go on to 90 Corridor where Whiston is watching. An engage will ensue and Whiston will come out on top. Still, is this going to be enough? 3-2 with 15 seconds left. Hibana's pushed in, trying to find that one onto Maestro. The Type 29 there, not doing her any favours. Slithermore cleaning that one. Whiston finding Nige, and Whiston finding the last one as well. A very close round for the Smugglers, and I think that could have gone either way indeed. Whiston coming out with a 4K certainly helped out there.
I think that round sums up this entire match so far very nicely within one round. It's, you know, it really is backwards and forwards, and it's coming down to individual pieces of skill that are winning these rounds. We can see Whiston elevating himself there onto 14-4. We've got Slithermore on 13-6, so those two really stepping up for their teams. Bristol doing well to win that one, bring it back to 4-4. That brings them sort of level again. They really are keeping themselves in touch here. And first time that they've been level since 0-0, so I'm sure they're going to be glad to be back on a level pegging. If they can get this, it puts them in front for the first time, so they really are starting to gather a little bit of momentum now. Bumble Bishop did a great job on the Vigil there. I think that was a little bit of a shame for Plymouth, because they used that Vigil very well. He got the kill onto the Zephyr, and he made a nuisance of himself all the way up until the last 20 seconds of that round. They really didn't have him locked down. He was just hassling the flanks constantly, doing exactly what you need a Vigil to do, but it was just unfortunate not to maybe make a little bit more impact for his team, but it's not really down to anything he could have done. It was just well shut down ultimately by Bristol. So moving into round number 9 then, 4 apiece, and we are going to be going back to trophy.
We've got a Frost, Tim.
I love a Frost.
Tim loves Frost.
I love Frost mats.
Yeah, he loves Frost mats more. Slithermore opting for the Frost, just trying to find a cheeky bear trap kill. It's worth it at this point in the round. You know, a couple of rounds have been played. No Frost has been seen up to this point. It really could be something that catches the Smugglers out, because they are pretty thorough in the roam clear, and they do tend to do it all from one side, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think we're going to see a very similar push this round. We can already see 3 players getting ready over on Repel. Slithermore's reacting to that. He's recognised that that was where the majority of the Smugglers force entered last time, and he's going to be playing over on inside game room, just looking into Study as the drones come through and flush him out. Some control of 90 Corridor would be good at this point as well, and if someone was on Repel on the window, they may have some success just peeking down over, and that's really going to cut off any line of rotation. This is something that the Smugglers did fairly well last round, so I'm expecting it to go pretty well this round as well. No Vigil this time, so nobody playing downstairs necessarily, other than Anxious Emu again. Whiston doing some drone work, maybe possibly droning himself in, just trying to find out where Anxious Emu is playing, but pretty much exactly the same location as the previous round.
2 minutes to go then. We're a whole minute into the round and no operators have been downed or even shot as of yet. So quite a slow push from Bristol this time. Obviously wanting to find those roamers. Anxious Emu there on the Alibi, just making himself a bit of a nuisance downstairs, keeping himself moving, keeping the attackers guessing. And that's what you want to do as a roamer, is just waste as much time as you can. Don't let them pin you down. Whiston is on the hunt, we can see, and the hunt will be successful. Opening frag from Whiston again. They really need to do something, Plymouth, to shut him down here, and it gets more difficult now that he's on the attack, because you can't necessarily predict where he's going to be or what he's going to do, which is a bit easier when he's on the defence. Bumble Bishop will predict it though, as he goes in and gets the kill and takes Whiston off the board, so that leaves us 4 versus 4 now, with just about a minute to go. Not too much direct progress towards site. We can see 3 of the Plymouth players there just able to hold themselves in sight. We've got 1 Bristol player out on the master side, outside in the bathroom. But other than that, still a lot of droning going on, potentially moving in from that aviator site. We're going to see, I think Thatcher just missed a peek through onto the Legion there. Will get hit by a Gooman, and that's going to give some intel through to the defenders. Nige gets 1 kill. That will be traded back out with 1 onto Kick, so that brings us to 3 versus 3. Slithermore will go down meanwhile, and things are starting to get difficult for Plymouth now. They really are struggling on the defence. Nige will get a kill for himself, though, having a very good round in sight. The diffuser is collected, and that's just going to allow Bristol to start thinking about approaching site as that Frostmat gets shot out, and Thatcher will move in to start getting this diffuser down. Is he going to be able to make it stick, or do Plymouth know that it's going down? They must not have done, as it will be held. So there come the shots onto the first of the defenders, who moves to just to challenge that diffuser, but isn't going to be able to. We've got Twitch now just holding tight angles. We've got Bumble Bishop moving in and getting the first of those attackers down with a nice headshot. It is all down to the Thatcher now. Nige moving in. I don't think he necessarily knows that he's there. Yes, he does, but he won't be able to get the kill. He moves in quickly and with purpose, but doesn't get the job done, nor does Bumble Bishop. What a hold from the Thatcher.
Holding the diffuser, pretty much sat on top of the diffuser, isn't something that is necessarily advisable, but in that circumstance it worked out perfectly for the Thatcher. Plymouth, you've got to push that together. You can't push that as solos because it's just too easy and too risky to lose that engagement. But Bristol doing a great job of time management, a great job to get the diffuser down. The way that Twitch and Thatcher were able to cover, well, the way that Thatcher got it down, the way that Twitch was able to cover from over inside of Master worked very well indeed. There wasn't enough time to go searching for those kills, and it did look a little bit sticky toward the final few seconds, but Bristol managed to pull through and clutched out that round. That's going to be a really big round for them because now they're in the lead. This is the first time that they're going to be in the lead the whole series. And we've seen Bristol play multiple times, and as soon as they get a little bit, they never make it easy for themselves. You know, they always like to give a few rounds and lose a few rounds. I think as many teams do. But they've got a lot of fight, and they've got a lot of adaptation, and they've got a lot of ability to be able to change things within the game, change how they're playing certain things. And we're seeing that tonight, and that's ultimately, the reason for their success so far. If they're able to get a couple more rounds together, I can definitely see this first map going towards them. But Plymouth Armada, they're only a small amount of mistakes away from this being 5-4 in their favour.
Absolutely. Bristol have won 4 out of the last 5 rounds now, really starting to gather some momentum. And that's not an easy thing to do when you've been 3-0 down and potentially just, really feeling like you were going to struggle to get into the match at that point. So great performance from Bristol so far to be able to show that mental fortitude to get themselves changed around. It looks like Bandit's just going to take a little bit of damage in the setup there. I'm not sure if that was a part of a rotation being opened up or something, but he is going to lose 25 health. We know that Nige tends to play on site a lot, so that's not going to probably bother him all too much. He likes to sit in there in tight spots and hold his angles, so at least it's not one of your roamers that's been damaged. But we're going to see a good early kill going to Bristol there, and here comes that momentum, taking the head off Anxious Emu there. That is the Jaeger off the board. And I tell you what, Bristol are looking powerful on the attack.
I think Anxious Emu's been first blooded in the last 3 rounds, and that's not really what you want to be looking toward for your roamer. I mean, it's testament to how well Bristol Smugglers are at being able to flush out these roamers. They're doing a very good job at being able to shut him down, but he's just not got the support from his team. He either needs to play on the site or he needs somebody to play out there with him on the roam as well. First set of Hibana pellets is going to be Bandit tricked off by Nige. He's not seeing all too much pressure from elsewhere. I think he's convinced somebody's outside of the study, but with Bumble Bishop at the top of the stairs, I think he is largely pretty safe. It is actually 21 over on an adjoining room that's putting shots through the window, nearer actually to Slithermore. So maybe a bit of a kill there for Slithermore if Zafir does decide to hop on in. Another set of X-Kairos are going to be jammed, but doing the old little bait and switch, he's going to get both sides open anyway. Whiston getting a kill over onto Bumble Bishop, so no more Vigil. Nige finding one onto Thatcher, but Thatcher has used his EMPs now, so he's not going to be all too much of a big loss, but a body nonetheless. Bristol 17 finding one onto Kick, and Nige, I thought, when was he going to pull the trigger? He finally found their headshot. Slithermore finding one onto Whiston, all of a sudden 2 versus 2. C4 toss comes out, it will not be successful. Nige stuck over on in the vault area. Look at the MP7 there, making it happen at close range. 15 does fall. 21 is going to find Slithermore, though, so we are going to be left in another 1 versus 1. Zafir just taking care of the camera at the top of 90. And now we've got nearly a minute for these two to battle it out. It's a very important round here. Both teams are going to be really looking to take away a point from this round. Nige holding fast inside the vault. He's not really got much of a reason to move at this moment in time. He's got the diffuser over on inside game. He is going to get drone there. That's going to force him to rotate out, but he's got a lot of options here. He's got a rotation hole and a doorway behind him, but Zafir does look like she's going to make the full rotate over and come over inside barn. Oh, changing her mind again, just trying to do the little bait and switch. But I think it's been enough for Nige to get preoccupied on the 90 corridor door, and that is going to allow Zafir to rotate in. Now getting pinged as well. Nige is in a very tough spot indeed behind the bar now. 9 seconds for this engagement. Who is going to come out on top? Zafir does manage to pick up the bomb, but the bandit battery is going to be doing a little bit of damage. I'm not sure if she's going to be able to successfully get this off. Nige, the headshot comes through. He doesn't need to rush it. The time is ticking down. Unfortunately for Zafir, the time was never really on her side, but Nige keeping a cool head. I think that's the most important thing in that circumstance.
Nige a demon on site there. I said it before, you know, he took that early damage during the setup, and I said that's not going to bother him too much. He's not going to be going out on the roam. He's just going to hold himself in some difficult locations on site, and that is something that we're seeing become very characteristic of Nige, just holding himself in those tight angles, those difficult spots up on top of the cabinet, inside of vault, deep in that corner of aviator with both walls reinforced, just really difficult places, getting in behind bar. And all he's doing for me there is he's displaying a really good knowledge of the site, and that's, as I said, you need those defenders who know the sites inside and out. He knows where all the tough spots are, he knows where all the spots that put him at a serious advantage are, and he's just used them and he's manipulated the site there to win that for his team, and great plays from him. So that's going to bring us to 5 versus 5 with Plymouth Armada showing some teeth there and saying that they are not ready to get thrown off of Villa just yet.
Do you think we're going to see an overtime in this first map? Yeah.
I think we might just see an overtime in every map. This is going to be a cracker.
It's certainly possible. The way that these two teams are balancing out against each other, they are very well matched indeed, and it does make for some very entertaining siege. I think a player that I'm going to be looking toward this round is Anxious Emu. I really hope that we don't make it 4 for 4 on being first blooded, because although Plymouth Armada won last round, it isn't helping the team out all too much. And the alibi pick, I touched on it when we first saw the alibi pick. I'm not too sure about it. I think maybe a little bit more utility, maybe a Legion. We've seen Legion do a lot of good work so far for both teams this series. I think that the Legion pick could be a little bit better than the alibi. Maybe just slow you down a little bit. You've got 2 speed instead of a 3. Just play a little bit more passively. Play a little bit more nearer to your teammates, because you can see already, we're looking at a dining room objective. 4 of the players for Armada are on the ground floor and only 1 upstairs. If you're going to commit 1 roamer, that's all right. But if the roamer's struggling a little bit, maybe give him a friend.
Absolutely, like you say, we really do need to see Anxious Emu do something about that first blood situation and just avoid taking those early losses, because it really does. Even though the Plymouth Armada have come out and won that last round, it just puts you on the back foot, and it gets... mentally it gets draining. You're playing every round sort of 4v5 almost, and you're just on that back foot constantly, and it really can take its toll over a number of rounds. So Anxious Emu just needs to try and do more. Like you said, maybe even if it's not working for you, just get yourself off the roam, switch out with somebody else, play yourself on site for a few rounds and just try and mix it up and change that momentum. We can see here that Whiston's making some early progress through the map there. He's going to get back into the bathroom as Sledge, and I said earlier on, sort of master bathroom and telescope room area are very, very dangerous when you've got a Sledge and you're trying to defend kitchen. You really do need to be putting a challenge on here. So again, that's something from Anxious Emu. He's keeping himself alive longer, but he's not making any direct challenge onto these players that are now opening up some very difficult angles. He is going to start working towards the flank though. Is this flank going to be watched? Yes, it will. And that is a first blood again for Anxious Emu. Survived a little bit longer, but didn't really have too much impact on those attackers. They were able to get in. They were able to start opening up the floor that he wanted. We've seen, meanwhile, Slithermore get a kill to bring us back to 4 versus 4. That's going to be the Twitch off the board. This is going to be a tough defence in the kitchen area now. We've got Slithermore way out on the roam, but the attackers being allowed basically free roam over that master and bathroom area, and they're going to really be able to start opening that up if they want to. It looks like Whiston is still up there as the other 3 attackers start to move downstairs towards site. We've got just under a minute to go, and some great progress being made by Bristol.
They've made some good progress, but I think now's the time they really need to do something with it. You're facing off against a Rook and a Maestro over on Insight, along with Nige. I think Nige could still have a C4 in hand as well. Speaking of Nige, he's going to find their head onto Whiston. Bumble Bishop trying to find a bit of information on his evil eye cameras, but Nige looking for his next victim. Slithermore on the roam's going to find one onto 17. Bumble Bishop again onto 20. All of a sudden we're left in a 4 versus 1, and it's looking very unlikely now with 10 seconds left to go that the Thermite is going to be able to make anything happen here. He's got 4 kills to find in as many seconds. He comes onto a challenge onto Maestro, but Bumble Bishop with his second of the round finds the headshot and closes things out for the Armada.
Well, how's about another momentum shift? We have Plymouth coming back from losing 4 rounds out of 5 to now pick 2 up concurrently and get themselves onto match point. They're going to be the first team to have that opportunity to take this first map. They will only get 1 bite at the cherry, remember though. If the Bristol Smugglers can get this round in the bag, it will take us to 6-all and overtime, which will be a best of 3. And to be honest, I think it'd probably be a fair outcome for this map. Both teams playing fantastic Siege so far and really getting themselves into the mix, really making it difficult for the other team to get any sort of momentum or get any sort of foothold on this game. So we're going to look towards round number 12 then. We're going to be heading up to the trophy site again for the Plymouth Armada. It's one that they have struggled with a little bit. They lost round 8 and 9 back-to-back on trophy. I think Bristol just took the time with it, got some good early frags on the roamers, and I think Plymouth probably just need to focus on keeping themselves alive a little bit later into the round and just disrupting what Bristol want to do, not allowing them to set up that execute.
Yeah, I think looking to round 9, I believe it was, the last time that we saw Trophy, I think it was Thatcher for the Smugglers that won that round, basically sitting on the statue, and he got 2 kills separately. It was Nige and Legion that were pushing in from different angles, and they just didn't push together. And that was a real key moment, because that could have been a tipping point, and we could have already seen this map said and done. That being said, it was never beyond the realms of possibility for the Armada to win that round outright. It did come down to a 1 versus 2 with the diffuser down. That's something that you can usually expect to win as a defender. So it could have gone either way. But Bristol can't rest on the laurels, knowing that they did win the last time that they attacked up here. They've really got to show us what they have got. Anxious Emu must be listening, because he has switched over onto the Legion, which is a nice change, because he has been struggling on the Alibi. But I think the Legion will do good for him.
It's absolutely what we want to see. We want to see him just keeping himself alive and not putting his team at that man disadvantage too early in the round. We can see there, Nige, I'm going to guess it is on the Bandit, has taken some damage again during that setup. It's
almost like his lucky charm, though.
Yeah, I think...
Clutched the round out last
25 damage, 4k clutch, let's go. So we're no doubt going to be seeing very similar play from Nige again. He's got himself into 90 corridor there. He's going to make things as difficult as possible. That might not be the best place for him to be playing. When we saw him be successful after taking that early damage last time, it was getting himself, you know, tight in sight and not allowing them an opportunity to get any damage done to him. As it stands, he's already got the Ying pushing him with the LMG there. They know that he's in 90 corridor, and that challenge is going to come in before too long. I won't be surprised to see a Candela going out. He does manage to avoid it, looking into the corner, and what a kill from Nige as he turns round. He nearly gets a second, but he will be downed, and it's surely only a matter of time until he gets finished off. So that leaves us now 4 versus 4. We've lost the Ying, we've lost the Bandit, and it is all to play for here. It really is. 1 minute 30 left to go, and some good progress being made from Bristol on the attack here. They're moving quickly. They've got one of the roamers cleared out. There's more to be done yet, but that is a good track there from Whiston on the Jackal that's just going to point out another one of those roamers and force him to move away. And now pressure can start to build on site coming into this last minute.
It's a shame for Bristol to lose the Ying so early on. Ying is going to be a beachhead operator. You're going to be looking to make some good progress in onto the site with her, but it will not be the case. Thatcher taking heavy damage there with an engagement onto Castle. Bumble Bishop finding the headshot over onto Twitch. Thermite taking shots as well. This Castle is proving very, very difficult behind the statuary. It is going to be Slithermore. He is going to find that one over onto number 20. And a second onto Thermite, making this a 4 versus 1. It's all down to Whiston. He finds his first of 4 onto Slithermore. He does have the diffuser in hand. I'm not sure if he's got any smoke canisters remaining. His next victim, or his next opponent, should I say, will be Kick, but Kick will be laying prone next to the bomb, and that will be all she wrote for Villa. Plymouth Armada finishing that one out in style.
What a match. 7-5, as close as it could be without going to overtime, and we have Plymouth Armada coming out and taking an early advantage here in this Arena Clash final. So they're now sat there thinking, right, let's get on to Border. If we can get this second map won, then we get an early night and we get an early prize, and we're not messing about. But I'm sure the Bristol Smugglers are certainly not going to make it easy for them. But we've got to consider Plymouth Armada only having lost one map all season so far. This is going to be an uphill struggle for here on in from Bristol. What were the real standout takeaway moments from that one for you, X?
For the first couple of rounds, it was almost just sort of the Slytherin show. Or the Slithermore show. I keep wanting to call him Slytherin. The Slithermore show. 10 kills, 3 rounds. You can't argue with that. He ended up with 18, so he didn't really cool off all too much.
No,
you know,
that's
a usual sort of 8 kills over the course of that kind of a series, 11 rounds, is usually what you would expect. But to come out with 18, and then Nige coming in, what did Nige end on, like 15?
Yeah, Nige came through on a real sleeper.
But came out of nowhere in the middle, which was really, really important. Really, really important.
Absolutely. So we're just going to have a look over some of the plays that we had there as we're talking. Whiston obviously doing some great work getting in and getting those early frags for his team there. We can see the objective was played an awful lot during that first map, X, and that's something that I like to see. We saw the diffuser go down, I think, at least 6 or 7 times, maybe more.
Yeah, we saw a lot of the diffuser being planted, and it really does turn the tables because, as we often say, the defenders then become the attackers trying to attack onto the objective, and it can be very difficult depending on how it has been set up. You can see Slithermore there picking up one of his many double kills as he does finishing it off. Oh, he doesn't finish that one off with the knife. That was the 1v1. But yeah, great performances from both the teams. It came on to sort of the Slithermore versus the Whiston show at some points, and those two were just really battling it out, and it was kind of whichever of those two got the most kills in the round. That's where the game sort of went. Multiple 2Ks, 3Ks, and even a couple of 4Ks thrown in as well. It was really good to see, but just how well matched these two teams were and the way that they were able to adapt. Bristol didn't have the best start. They went down 3 rounds, but they were able to pull it back. They were able to change what they were doing, especially on defense as well, which can be very, very difficult because you're really setting, you know, you're setting the map up there for the attackers to attack into attack. You can play into the defense a little bit more on occasion. So to be able to adapt on defense and change things that really weren't working just shows very good coordination as a team, and it shows that they've got the communication and the sort of relationship as a team really well dialed as well, but they didn't get too tilted at losing the first couple of rounds and just sort of, you know, lose their heads. So that was one of the really good standout points for Bristol to make it that far and to come up to 5 rounds. But I think the Armada always looked like they were going to take it. They were just a little bit better on their attacking phases. The way they executed and the way they set themselves up for it was very, very good indeed.
Yeah, I think other than the fights against Whiston, I think the Armada just did a better job of winning those gunfights where it was sort of 1v1. It's all well and good, you know, really the ultimate aim in Siege is get in and shoot somebody in the back, shoot them in the side. Don't allow them the opportunity to challenge you. You know, that's what using your game sense is all about, pushing from those angles, understanding where defenders or attackers are going to be located and just using that knowledge to your advantage to be able to put yourself in the best situation. But where it did come head to head, Plymouth just seemed to have that edge in the sort of technical ability on that map to get those gunfights won and to just put themselves ahead on the man count numbers so often. We see Slithermore there taking another kill in 5 versus 3. What about those Cavi players from Whiston? We only get to see it once, but he managed to get a double interrogation in 1 round.
It really helped his team win the round, and you can see the round count at this moment in time. It was 3-1. So the Smugglers had picked up the first round, but they still weren't established. They still didn't have the momentum, and I think that's something that really spurred them on as a team. Getting that double interrogation, getting that round win in, and all of a sudden 3-2 starts to look a heck of a lot better than 3-1. And from there, they were able to mount a bit of a comeback, as it were, but it wasn't to be in the end. Very close match, close engagement, and some rounds went heavily one way or the other, but I think that was down to good individual play from either team. Downstairs in Dining's one that stands out to me. The way that the Armada attacked onto that for the second time was flawless.
Yep.
It was really, really well executed. And it just goes to show that these teams have got their heads switched on and they know what they're doing. I was a bit shocked to see Villa come out as a pick because it's not a map that we've seen throughout. I don't think it's a map we've seen throughout the entire tournament so far.
No, I don't recall casting it.
So I was a bit surprised to see Villa come out, but the way that these two teams have played on it, it really has been enthusing indeed.
Maybe one or the other was saving strats for it, and that's why we've not seen it. They've been avoiding picking it so that they could bring it to the final.
Everyone knows you save strats.
Always save strats. So we're going to be looking towards Border. What have we seen there that is going to be a takeaway for Border? I'm looking towards players like Whiston to have a successful roam. We know how important map control is on Border. You're looking to control, if you're attacking an upstairs objective in Armoury Lockers, you're looking to be taking control of Office, you're looking to be taking control of the CCTV area, and that doesn't change too much more if you're attacking on the downstairs sites. If you're attacking a ventilation site particularly, you want in control of CCTV and Armoury Lockers so that you can start to use that vertical presence against the defenders. Which of the two teams from what we've seen do you think that's going to suit more?
I think on attack, just through what we've seen so far, Plymouth Armada are going to be more suited to Border.
Yep.
The way that they attack is very good, and that's not to say the way that Smugglers attack it isn't very good.
Very good droning.
Very good droning, but also a good ability to be able to push from either side. Now, something that if you notice from the Smugglers, they do it a couple of times, is they'll heavily push one side of the map, sort of all four of them, and then send Whiston on his own. That isn't going to work on Border. You can't be affording to send someone on their own to deal with CCTV in its entirety.
No.
You've got to send 2 or 3, and then 2 or 3 to Office,
Yep.
and then work your way in that way. The way that we've seen Armada attack so far, Armada have been very good at that sort of two-pronged approach. Whereas the Smugglers, it's not something that they've displayed to us all too much today on Villa. It's something they've done in the past, but they're really going to have to step things up if they're going to want to look to be successful on Border, because it is all about getting those key walls open. I mean, we're looking really at Armoury Lockers when we say this. Key walls, Offices and Armoury Lockers, and then make you push from there.
Yeah, if you can get, and we've said it a few times over the season, if you can get both of those sides opened up, then you're going to have much more success on Armoury Lockers. If you can, we see everybody go and open the west wall. It's, that's generally the primary focus, and there's nothing wrong with that. And it applies good pressure because it stops people being able to move further down towards half wall. But as we've said countless times, if you can get 2 or 3 into Office, get some good control while Thatcher and Thermite go and deal with that west balcony wall, you can leave Thatcher there to challenge that, so they're aware of a presence there. But then Thermite rotates around. You've got control of the top of East Stairs. He moves through into Office. You're already in control of the area, and he just has to run through, place his charge, and you get the Office wall open as well. It is generally all she wrote at that point. It is very, very difficult to defend against that, because then all of a sudden you can't move anywhere around half wall because you've got it being watched from west balcony, but then also you can't move anywhere around small Office. You can't come out of the cover of Lockers. You can't move around in archives because it's being hammered from Office. Very, very difficult. And as you say, Plymouth, that's something that they've displayed an ability to do more, is to sort of, you're almost looking to work as a number of small teams. You're looking within your team to have a 2 and a 3, and to start working from multiple angles like that, and to work in conjunction and just work at the right time and execute. And I just think that's one of the edges that Plymouth have got. If Bristol can bring that more to their game, if they can support, I mean, they've got an absolute gunner in Whiston. There's no argument about that. They really do. They need to facilitate it now.
Yeah.
They need to get in there, give him the support that he needs, give him that second man to work back to back with. They need to have somebody drawn in ahead of him, feeding that information, and just let him go and kill. And then they're going to have a lot more success.
I think you're right. And coming onto the side of defence, Border can be a very difficult map to defend in that it's not really somewhere that you're able to roam on. You're really going to die at your post often on Border, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, because if you're holding a key area such as CCTV, or you're going to look to try and hold Offices aggressively, you're going to look to be burning time, and if you're able to take one with you, then all the best. Look at that target ban coming straight out there. We're going to see the IQ taking off. That's no doubt a target ban towards Slithermore.
Absolutely no question there. So we're going to see the second attacker ban coming in now, and this will be Plymouth Armada's attacking ban, and that's going to be Hibana taken off. Not too unusual for Border. If you're looking at your bottom floor defences, if you choose to close those hatches up, which not all teams do, they do sometimes get opened up. It offers a good rotation back to site if you've got roamers that are trying to hold that top floor. But if you just go for a hard defensive, close the hatches off, then taking Hibana off is never a bad idea. And it also just limits that hard breach capability when we're looking at sites like Armory and Lockers. Mirror and Valkyrie. Valkyrie, she's always a good operator. Information is important in Siege. There's no argument about that. I think on Border, there's probably better operators that you could ban than Valkyrie. I think Maestro's probably generally got more value. I think generally the cams are quite easily spotted out on Border.
Especially because Bumble did so much work with Maestro.
Yep.
He really put the Alder to good use and headshots galore. So that's a little bit of a surprise. Equally, a bigger surprise is seeing both Rook and Doc picked for the Smugglers when you've got Echo and Maestro available.
As you say, it's, you know, if you're wanting to bring those ACOGs, we've discussed it before. I can see you despairing here next to me, X. I know that you like to have that more useful. You still get the ACOG, you still get a good gun, you get the same gun if you bring Echo, but you get 2 drones that can deny plants directly with the touch of a button.
Someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but Echo's gun is actually better at range as well.
Yeah, I think it is.
It's better at long range engagement. It does actually hold damage better. So yeah. Anyway, into the round. Our Armory Lockers will be the site. Very predictable indeed. It is one of the better sites onto Border. We're mainly going to be looking at Armory Lockers and downstairs in ventilation. Hotels and bathroom and customs will not be seen unless we do meet the 2-round rotation parameter. I do like, however, what Bristol are doing here in reinforcing triple wall, as that is going to really slow down any sort of push from the Armada, especially in that Hibana has been banned, but even more so in that the Armada aren't choosing to bring a hard breacher.
Ooh, that's going to be an interesting one.
I can tell you what's
there's a
gonna
Monty
happen.
on the board, they're going to push the Archives door, and they're going to try and plant inside of it. We can see that coming. It's either that, or they're going to try and push the west single door next to the double wall on west balcony and do the same thing. Just get inside and plant next to that small office wall. It's a risky strategy.
It's almost free real estate if you get the Monty in and you've got the glass at the back of the map and you can watch the bomb from all the way over there. It's the first time it happens to you, you sort of, you gobsmacked. You're like, what is this? And then as soon as you're able to pull it off against an opponent, you feel like $1 million. But it looks as though we're maybe going to see a variant of that, as it is Slithermore on the Monty, which is weird because he's been really good with a gun in his hand up until this moment in time. So to see him on a shield, I do hope the Armada don't struggle for the kills because of it. Glaz outside on ventilation window, just going to break that barricade down, try and burn out those ADSs, but I think we could have already lost a couple of smoke canisters. There are going to be 4 available for the attackers. First kill going to come into there, and that's a big one over onto Nige. Remember all the good work Nige was doing last game. To take him off early is going to be a big thing indeed. The diffuser is already going down. C4 toss from below will stop it. Smoke canister as well. I think it's a little bit too high to be doing any damage to Slithermore, but he's in a tricky situation now. He's not got a lot of support, and in a 5 versus 2, when one of the 2 is a Monty, it's going to be a very tall order for Plymouth indeed. Smugglers have read perfectly into this. They've got to deal with the glass outside on ventilation. Slithermore is backing up now, making his way over onto the outside 19. Maybe going to go into office, but alone as a Monty, he should be relatively easy to shut down. Bumble Bishop desperately searching for a flash of colour, but I don't think he's going to find it. Smugglers doing a very good job of keeping themselves safe, getting the crossfire over onto the Monty, making that look all too easy. That's diffuser down as well. And even with a minute left, this has got to be looking good for the Smugglers.
Absolutely clinical defence so far from Bristol. No messing about here. That Monty push onto Archive single door is always a risky one, and if it's something that the defenders have got in the back of the mind as a possibility, it very rarely works. It really does have to be one that you catch the defenders by surprise, and that has not been the case at all for Plymouth Armada here. We've seen a very nice C4 toss kill to deny that diffuser going down. Bumble Bishop's going to get 2 for his troubles so far, but the second will only be a down before he's finished, and that will be round number 1 going to the Bristol Smugglers. Great defensive armory lockers, bit of a masterclass there.
Textbook. They really reacted well to what Plymouth Armada did there, because it's unpredictable. You don't really know what's going to happen on Armory Lockers. There's multiple options. Are they going to open offices? Are they going to open armory? You know that with the Hibana ban, they're only going to be able to get usually one of those open, despite being, you know, Thermite having 2 exthermic charges. Usually you'd only get one open because of the time it takes to rotate around and the risk of getting killed. Are they going to pressure vents? Are they going to pressure sandwich window? Are they going to try and do the Monty plant with the Glazo overwatching? All these different opportunities and options, and the Smugglers just really dialed into what was going on very quickly and dealt with it really well. Great to see from them, and to come out that strong after losing Villa, it shows that they've kept the composure in that little 5-minute break that we had. They've obviously, you know, had a good chat as a team, and they've got some very firm ideas of how they want to play Siege on border, which is something that we've said often from the Smugglers. They've got a very good idea of how they want to play the game. You know, when things start going in their favour and they start doing those things and they start working, they're a force to be reckoned with. Round number 2, we are going to be looking toward ventilation and workshop, and a nice, good old lineup here with a castle and a maestro this time as well.
Just what we want to see. And we're seeing good adaptation from both teams here. We can see the hard breach of Thermite has been brought this time. We're going to have Whiston playing upstairs in the Armoury Lockers as castle, and he's going to hold that for as long as he can. Wouldn't surprise me to see him using those impact grenades just to open up a hatch or 2. Maybe leave them closed for the time being until he needs to rotate, but at some point, when he feels he needs to maybe rotate back to site, that will then be an option for him. He's just going to shoot a couple of holes in the floor and give himself some vertical options to be able to challenge windows coming into ventilation, be able to challenge onto double door area. All that sort of area is going to be in threat there. So Plymouth this time are definitely going to have to go upstairs and get that cleared out. They have to get rid of Whiston from up there, really, if they want to get any success here. I think that is going to be part of the game plan, given that they've got a sledge on the cards. They're obviously thinking about getting upstairs. Much of this floor is destructible, and we can see Nige already making his way towards CCTV, towards that Armoury Lockers location. So that castle barricade is not going to slow him down at all. That'll just be one hit for his sledge, and then he'll be in there quite quickly. He will have just seen Whiston as well. I'm not really sure on the use of the Thermite to open the double wall there. It does give you a better angle onto the half wall, I suppose, but not strictly necessary. The castle barricade could have been taken out by Sledge, but Whiston's just going to hold himself tight in behind that half wall now. He doesn't really have too much of an option to get himself out of here safely now. It's basically do or die for Whiston.
And this is what we say about border, you die on your post. That grenade is going to come through, it's going to force him to move out, and Nige is going to grab that kill. You can see the way that the ADS was burnt there was really good. The teamwork that was shown from Plymouth Armada then was exceptional. They were able to burn the ADS with the EMP, then throw the frag grenade in and pick up the kill with ease. Despite the good setup really from the Smugglers, they were able to read into that with good drone work. It has wasted half of the round, but now they've got all of that floor to go at, and Sledge is going to make very short work of that indeed, as he starts to open up those angles and make the defenders feel very uncomfortable down on inside. This is the time that you're going to need some horizontal pressure as well, and you're going to look to get outside onto the windows and into the corridor just outside of sight, where you're going to be able to catch any of the players that are on the rotate. Main door will be the focus now for Bumble and Kick 24, as the remainder of Bristol are playing over on in the site, pretty much on top of each other, giving up total control of B. And there's a plant there for the taking, but I'm sure there's an evil eye camera there that's waiting to try and deny it. The hatch above will be opened and 2 kills will be traded back to back. 17 finding 1 onto Anxious Emu, and Slithermore finding that straight back onto 21 of Maestro. So if any of the evil eyes are in the wrong position, they are going to be useless for his team. But 3-3 now as Legion grabs the headshot. The plant will start to go down over on in B, and Bristol, they are very much aware of that. The evil eye must be in the right location. Bumble Bishop finds one onto 15. 20 is left with very little to do. He's going to have to rotate in and try and get the kill, but he's going to get taken down for his troubles. The plant is still going down, which is something that we've seen from the Armada so far. 1 down for 17, 2 downs. He's got the kill. This is effective 1 versus 1, as 2 players are both down. The diffuser is on the floor. It's going to be on Nige to rotate in. There's not enough time. the defenders are going to clutch out the round. 17 on Jaeger. Give yourself a pat on the back. That was a very good play indeed.
What a clutch play from the Jaeger there. Just getting in the nick of time. We could see that diffuser going down. How many times had Zofia tried? I think that was the 3rd or 4th attempt to get that diffuser down. She kept having to break off from it, Bumble Bishop, just to make that challenge as he heard players come into the rotate to try and prevent it. I think with a little bit more urgency, a little bit more drone work, that diffuser could have gone down earlier in the round. They had real opportunity where all 3 defenders were out towards the back of the workshop area, and I think you can get in there behind that bookcase and get it planted in safety. But hindsight being 2020, it was a great effort from Plymouth Armada, a very nice top floor clear. Let's not forget that. They absolutely dominated Whiston up there. He really had no chance whatsoever to challenge that. But great players from Bristol Smugglers, again, down to, I think it was 3 versus 5 at one point, and they've just not rolled over, they've not panicked, they've just held their angles, they've had confidence in the site setup, and with a good individual piece of skill from the Jaeger there towards the end, they've got themselves a result, and that puts them now 2-0 coming into round number 3.
And with the way that Bandit and Legion were playing on the site, it just didn't look possible. They were almost tripping up over each other, just trying to stay out of the way of the vertical angles that Sledge had opened up above. But like you say, the late flank coming in from Jaeger, I'm not even too sure where he'd been playing for the majority of the round. I'm not sure if he was maybe the bottom of main stairs or stairs area, and he's just made a great rotate and come in. I mean, the shots were crispy. He certainly hit his shots and didn't get thirsty on the kills either, which is the main thing really, because if he'd have gone for if he'd have converted the down onto the Thatcher outside, could have been a different story.
You've got to question the roam clear potentially from Plymouth Armada there. They've done a very good job of clearing Whiston out, but it's almost as if they've basically cleared Whiston and then, right, there can't be anybody else. How could there be anybody else on the roam? And they've not gone and looked any further and found the Jaeger. And that's a little bit unusual for Plymouth Armada. So far tonight, we've seen the drone work be very, very good. They've been good on using that information and reacting to it. So I'm surprised that they haven't found the Jaeger during the drone-in work there and picked up on it and gone and found him. But, that being said, I'm sure it's something that they will learn from. So we're going to be looking towards round number 3 now. We're nearly a minute in, and we are going to be on the customs hold. No option for Bristol Smugglers but to take one of those 2 more difficult sites. Not too much of a presence up in CCTV here. We've got Whiston all on his own. Personally, I'd like to see a man up there supporting him.
He's going to get pressured almost instantly and find that first one over onto the Sledge. What a great kill, opening things up onto Nige, no less. Sledge could have had a field day upstairs, opening all of that floor up, but Whiston is going to have averted that disaster for the time being. Anxious Emu just at break room door. I'm surprised he didn't get any shots there over onto the castle. Anxious Emu pushing in now. Whiston's going to be well placed to pick up his second of the round. He doesn't quite manage to hit the headshot. Shots are exchanged for almost equal spoils, but no kills either way. 17 lying in wait at the top of East Stairs, and I don't think Anxious Emu is aware that 17 is going to be playing over there. CCTV control has been gained now, but it's almost at what cost? Whiston's been able to rotate through using an impact on his own castle. Is he going to get the shots down required? Not quite again. He needs help. Jaeger, you need to rotate up and try and shut down this push. Whiston, who is going to hit the shots first? Bandit, we're going to go back downstairs just to see what is going on in the site, as Whiston and 17 are still both struggling to locate this pesky Ash, as she's doing Ash things now over inside Office and Fountain. Slithermore finds one onto 21. Whiston runs right up to the back of Anxious Emu and gets turned on. Bumble Bishop will be planting the diffuser in a 4 versus 3 situation. Make that 4 versus 2 as Slithermore grabs one onto Legion number 20, as Legion does try and push in to shut that diffuse from going down, but it will be planted nonetheless. Bristol 15 will find the first one of many needed onto Anxious Emu, but gets traded out almost instantly by Slithermore. Now in a 3 versus 1 situation. All down to 17 yet again. Is he going to get lucky? He's kind of looking the wrong way. Slithermore peeks through and finds the headshot. Typical plant spot there, and I think just a bit too long dealing with Anxious Emu. He didn't have much of an impact. He got 1 kill, but he wasted a ton of time.
Yep, I'd completely agree with you. I think the Jaeger in that situation needs to be pushing up. Whiston should be absolutely screaming at him there to come and assist him. If they push that Ash 2 at once, we had Jaeger around the east stairs. He could have, as Whiston made a great rotate to come from the opposite side of CCTV. If we've then got the Jaeger pushing break room door at the same time, that Ash gets killed out. You've still got 2 men upstairs, and you can focus back on your site threat, and I think it was just that distraction of knowing that they had Ash upstairs and the comms and everything else going on at that moment in time didn't allow them to focus enough on site, and that allowed Plymouth Armada to take advantage of that, get in and get that diffuser down, which is something that we've seen from Plymouth. They're very keen to do, is get in and get that diffuser down and to play the objective. So great plays from them to take one back. They'll be glad that they haven't gone 3 behind. They certainly don't want to do that, but I don't think that's going to take too much away from Bristol's momentum there, because it is a difficult site. It's a site that you expect to maybe only win half of the time, and so I don't think it's going to damage them too much.
And that plant spot's very typical, and it's kind of hard to deal with. You can open it from upstairs and you can look down onto the window, but if you're getting pressured upstairs in CCTV, it's a very difficult place to hold and sit and just wait for someone to hop in the window and try and get the diffuser down. It's a very difficult side to hold. Bristol shouldn't be too disappointed, but Plymouth have took good advantage of that, and they've not made a mistake on what is seen to be a more, an easier site to attack onto. We are going to go back upstairs to Armory Lockers. This was a round where the Armada had a very clear idea of what they wanted to do, and it got shut down quite quickly by the Smugglers. Be interesting to see if they do change tack a little bit. We are seeing a different lineup come out. We're not seeing the Monty, we're not seeing the Glaz. More typical, we're going to look for the Thatcher and the Thermite. No doubt we're going to see the west wall be opened, or in fact we could see offices be opened. Wisdom with an aggressive run out will find Anxious Emu. It's almost like his life's mission to make Anxious Emu the first blood every single round, but traded out instantly by Nige. A 1-for-1 trade, a Cavi for an Ash. I don't know if it's worth it or not. I don't know that the Cavi pick warrants that kind of risk and reward, but it's a 4 versus 4. I just hope there's some cams for both those players to watch to try and assist their team in this round.
Always costly to lose your Caveira so early in the round. If you're going to bring her, you want her to be a nuisance throughout the entire round. You want the attackers scared to walk round corners because they can't pin her down. They don't know where she is, and that is what you need your Caveira to do. Jumping out like that is tricky. You could, bring a number of other operators to do that. You could do that with a Rook and everybody's got armor. You could, there's many other options whereby you've got more utility that you could have used. But that said, he did get 1 kill for his trouble, and we'll see how that pans out. We can see the Toxic Babe coming out there just to try and prevent immediate access into the officers area. We're going to have Doc in there as well. I'm glad to see that we've got some pressure being applied to this officers side. It's so common that we just see the one-dimensional attack from the west balcony. It is nice to see it just switched up a little bit. We've got Nige going in there and getting a kill downstairs as well. So that's going to be that roaming Jaeger off the board, and we now 4 versus 3. Slithermore gets 1 for himself onto the Dock, and that will give control of officers. And now watch how things change when this office wall is opened up by Slithermore. It's going to push the smoke back round to the opposite side. Out comes the Toxic Babe, out comes the C4, but it will be detonated, and it is detonated too early. It hit the wall. If he waits for them to push in to look at getting a diffuser down, he potentially has some luck there, but Kick will take out the smoke, and that leaves us now 1 versus 4. Bandit has it all to do, bullets raining in, and who else but Slithermore to step in and get finished off for Plymouth Armada, bringing them back to 2 apiece.
It all hinges on the run out early doors, I think, because if you look at you can never pick who you get on a run out or a spawn peak or anything like that. You just don't. You don't get to choose. You get who you get, if you get anybody. But it got the Ash. Ash had no impact on that round whatsoever. Even if Ash had been played, it was the Thatcher, the Thermite, all those operators were much more important in that round as a whole. I just really feel that holding on to your life for a little bit longer than 10 seconds on into the round and getting that 1-for-1 trade, it could have done Bristol a little bit of good, because they did have a bit of a lead there, and now they're looking at 2-2, and we've seen what happens when the Armada get a little bit of momentum. They will tear away with this map.
Yep. And it's, it's not fair. I'm not going to get on Wiston's back. He's done an awful lot to help his team. He's been getting a lot of important frags, but ultimately in that round, there was very little brought to the table by the Caveira. As I've said, there's no real utility there that Caveira brings to the table. There's no real benefit. Yep, you get a man off the board, but as we saw, it just really didn't impact on Plymouth's attack. So that's something that they need to learn from, really. Wiston switching back over to the Castle this time, and I'm glad to see that. He's had some good rounds on Castle. He did a very good job of trying to hold CCTV for as long as possible. I think he just needed a bit more support in doing that. But we're going to see him upstairs again. What is he going to do differently? He needs to learn from the last time. He was cleared out very easily, got himself stuck behind half wall when that west balcony wall got breached. And this time, he just needs to maybe play a little bit deeper into archives so that he can play a different angle and just keep himself away from getting trapped in that half-wall corner.
I think he can play half-wall again. The ADS just needs to be in a different location. If the ADS is in a better spot, it's going to eat the EMP and it's going to eat up the frag grenade, and that's going to keep him alive for a little bit longer, because that's what Armada are going to be looking to use to try and flush him out. The ADS is in the same spot, which means they're just going to be able to do rinse and repeat.
As you said, it's all about adaptation. It's all about learning from what went wrong last time. And like you said, I don't think they've covered that one off. But we'll see how it progresses. Whiston has got the gun skill to keep himself alive, if nothing else. So I'm sure he will certainly try to make a challenge. And we can see we've got the Jaeger up there as well in support of him. And he is playing a little bit deeper into sight this time. So, you know, potentially another option. You know, there is, yes, the chance to move that ADS. But equally, play a different option, play a different angle. And, you know, you might get a different result. So we'll see how that goes. We can see some pressure being applied already. We've got Nige on the sledge moving up there to that west balcony door and looking to get himself into sight. But as you can see, Whiston's change of location here is making it difficult. They don't really know what to do, I don't think. They're certainly not moving as quickly as they did last time. Nige's drone, we can see, is in there. He's checked half wall. He's found that Whiston's not there. When he finds Whiston deeper into sight, then what does he do? If Whiston keeps himself back here and out of that line of sight, that is a problem. If you're going to hold yourself at the back, you can't come past those sandwich lockers, because if they've got somebody on window, that's exactly what's going to happen. But they didn't clear the Jaeger out, and that will lose Nige's life. Great plays again. We've seen the Jaeger doing this on the roam previously, and he's not being shut down. Slithermore on the twitch can't push him because of that castle barricade. We've got 1 minute left to go, 4 versus 4, and still no top floor control for Plymouth.
And the castle barricades are still slowing Plymouth Armada down. This just goes to show the value in the utility. I'd like to see Legion open up that hatch over on the inside of... Oh, there's an engagement upstairs. It's not even happening. Actually, it's just looking inside of archives, and I'm sure that... Oh, well, he has dropped down, finally. I thought I was going crazy. The hatch has been opened, as I was predicting. Legion opening the hatch down in tellers, putting shots through there over onto the Ash. The Ash had a perfect shot on the Jaeger, but the hatch got opened in the nick of time. And now, no breaching rounds left. You're going to be left with 11 hitting the barricade, unless they want to start dropping hatches. And with only 29 seconds left to go, that is not going to be advisable.
20 seconds and an awful lot to do, but Bumble Bishop is looking to get himself in towards a planting position, and that is exactly what he will do. The diffuser starts to come down. Slithermore has to keep his teammate alive here. He gets a spot of Legion, starts to make the shots, but he won't keep Bumble Bishop alive. The diffuser did go down, however, so Slithermore takes the head off one, and that will leave us 3 versus 3 with the diffuser down, but the defenders have got a real opportunity here. Out comes the C4. They really could do with start getting on this diffuser, and that's what Maestro will do, but Slithermore gets a good kill. I don't think he knows that Maestro is on the counter diffuse. He can't get the angle, and Maestro's going to pull it off with the stealth diffuse.
Pros don't fake. It's a fact. No, good heads up play. It's not easy in the heat of the moment when the bullets are flying and the C4s are getting ripped to just take a moment, especially when you've got the Alder. You've got the weapon to clutch. You've got 81 bullets in the magazine.
Just press the trigger.
Just hold the trigger.
Keep going.
You don't need better accuracy. You just need more bullets. But to be able to take that, all that aside, and to keep your head clear and just say, you know what, I'm going to try it. I'm going to stick the defuse and just hope that it stays. Slithermore's got a heck of a job. You know, he's trying to keep people off. He's wondering if he's going to get run out on it any second. He's just trying to get kill after kill after kill. He doesn't want to over-peek onto the diffuser. It might not have been planted in the best spot. We didn't quite get to see, but yeah, great heads-up play there. Sticking the diffuse. If you can get away with it and your teammates are willing to throw the bodies in front of the bullets, then certainly go for it. But a much-needed round for the Smugglers. I feel like after losing round number 5, they were round number 4. They could have, you know, maybe been a bit of a tilt factor within the team there, and just a little bit like, come on, guys, we're a bit better than this. We can be winning these rounds. To win that round downstairs really has stood them in good stead, and it's allowed them to go back upstairs to Armory as well, because obviously they were a bit unsuccessful here previously. We're not seeing the cavi pick. We're instead seeing a good amount of utility. We've got some Capcan. Always love to see a good bit of Capcan, especially in conjunction with Legion, because that is just going to slow down Plymouth Armada even more.
Yep, love to see it in that last round. Great plays from the Maestro. I've said it before, I'll say it again, and it's not just because I'm a planter, but planting and counter diffusing is underrated massively. When the bullets are flying like that, it sounds ridiculous, but it's very difficult sometimes to keep hold of that button and keep your head and not engage in the gunfights and try to protect yourself and have that faith in your teammates. Fortunately, my teammate is X, and he's a bit of a gunner, so he tends to keep me alive.
We did all right in the 3v3 tournament.
Yeah, we did pretty well.
So we made a good showing.
I think there's some boys out there that weren't too happy with it. So moving into round number 6, we are 3-2 now in favour of Bristol Smugglers, and absolutely no surprise to see this one going right to the wire again in this first half. And guess who is down first, X? It's Anxious Emu once again, really struggling to get himself into some momentum tonight and just avoid that early first kill. I've been there, I've had the same nights, and it just seems like every angle you approach, every barricade you go to knock out, there's somebody on the other side of it, and I think he just needs to slow things down a little bit. You know, it's not too high an impact operator. It is the Ash. We're going to see a successful bandit trick there, though, and that is going to be costly. That's one of those thermite charges gone. Will he pick the right side here? No, he hasn't. He needs to move away. He could well get damaged, and does. Very lucky not to lose his life there. The bandit wants the... Goes to the C4 toss, and how about that from Kick24, waiting on that angle with the Thatcher and absolutely demolishes the bandit. 1 minute 30 to go, and some good progress here from the Plymouth Armada.
That's one of the best C4 tosses I think I've ever seen from that position. If that had gone off, it could have done some serious damage. Anxious Emu has been revived. He will be revived back up onto 20 health. Bandit did his best in trying to hold out that armory wall, but it wasn't to be for too long. Whiston in a good position. He's on the safer side, let's say, of the sandwich window, and he's going to be able to throw plenty of goo mines on into the breach and just sort of slow down the push. The static can be still being up there from Plymouth Armada isn't good at all. 17 going to come on a flank and take out Anxious Emu, but Bumble Bishop there to trade things straight back out. 20 will grab a kill over onto Nige, putting us into a 3 versus 3, but looking at the hit points, it's got to be looking a little bit better for the Smugglers, and they do have the dock as well. Slithermore at the breach now, just peeking over on into small office, gets a glimpse of the cap can and finds the kill. 3-2 now, a plant will almost certainly go down. Bumble Bishop just watching the flank over inside of CCTV, but Whiston pushes up aggressively and grabs one onto Slithermore. Claymore is going to be detonated down there onto the diffuser, as the rotate is opened as well for Thatcher to come back in. But Doc's juiced himself up. He's going to be going through break room. He's going to get an engagement with Bumble Bishop. Finds the kill. A Claymore will fell Whiston, so it is a 1 versus 1. Kick24 versus the Doc, about half of the diffuse time remaining. Doc's going to go back and juice himself up yet again. He's got to take this final engagement before he looks to get the diffuse off. He will get a sight onto Kick24, but Kick24 very rightly is just going to back off that and force Doc to push. Doc will get the down. He goes to finish out the kill. I'm not sure if you got the time for that. This is going to be very, very close indeed, but I don't think that he's going to be able to do it. It is going to be a round going to the Armada. It comes down to the wire, but I don't think that getting the kill made the difference, but it certainly didn't help in that situation. But then again, you Doc, you're going for quite a decent roamy flank sort of thing there. He had a lot of ground to cover as a 3 armor. Very close round there for the Smugglers. It
was an excellent attempt from the Doc there, and I think you're right, X. It certainly did waste a little bit of that time, but I still don't think, even if he doesn't go for that final kill, even if he just leaves him down and gets straight back onto the diffuse, I think it would have been even more agonisingly close for him. But I still don't think there quite would have been time. I think he'd have probably been about half a second off. But great attempt, like you say, you know, using that 1-speed operator and getting around the map well and picking up those kills, making good challenges. 3-3 off the first half. Absolutely no surprise. Another one that looks like it's going to go to the wire. These teams really are evenly matched, and the more it goes on, the more on the edge of my seat I am, the more that I just want to see another round, because they really are going at each other now.
Way back in round 1, we saw Slithermore picking the Monty. Since then, we've not seen Slithermore picking the Monty. He's favoured the gun. We've seen him do great work with the gun in the series and all evening. First round of defensive phase for Plymouth Armada, we're seeing Slithermore picking the Clash. Now, the shield didn't really pan out for Plymouth, I think it's fair to say. Bristol did a pretty good job of dealing with that. And Plymouth saw better success when they started bringing more guns, and they didn't really necessarily need the shield to push in because they had different ideas, different ways of pushing, which is more suited to their playstyle. That's fair enough. How and where does the Clash fit into this? Because Clash is a very niche pick, and we do see it work sometimes, but it tends to rely on the whole team playing around it.
It does. On border Armory, I think the Clash can work quite successfully on the west balcony to avoid the push there, because she can just get out of that single door, keep herself quite safe, and prevent Thermite getting charges onto that wall. But that being said, they've got a Zephyr, so it's reasonably easily dealt with. You fire one of those lifelines in, it stuns her and drops a shield. And as long as you've got a second man there, it is an easy free kill for you. So it's going to be interesting to see where that Clash is used. We can see Slithermore there working actually more on the Archives side than anything. They are obviously very aware of that Archives door and a quick plant like they tried to do themselves. But with only Zephyr out on that side, I don't think we're going to see too much of a push from there. It certainly looks like we're going to be heading for a west breach as Sledge just clears things out in CCTV. They've got some good early control here of Bristol, and it's just now about how they push on. That is a good angle to open up, and it just allows them a view to cut off any rotations out towards half wall, and in goes the first nade, and ADS is going to burn that one off then. So we are 1 minute 50 left to go, and we just lose our first man, and it's Thermite and Anxious Emu. This is what we want to see. He starts to turn things around. No longer first blood, he gets the first kill, and what an important first kill that could be.
Wisdom finds one onto Bumble, but it's going to come head to head with Anxious Emu for his second. If there was a round for Anxious Emu to step up, it was this round, and who better to kill than the Buck and the Thermite. He's going to go on for his third now. He knows there's a couple of guys still playing over inside a break room and CCTV, although one of them has just dropped off. He must have some good call-outs from his team, because he does seem to have changed his angle of attack, and he is looking downstairs, but Sledge has since rotated back up east stairs, so maybe just trying to figure out where the push is going to come from, because they've lost two very key operators indeed. Thatcher will go down, and it's going to be the Anxious Emu show as he picks up his third. Is he going to make it the ace? He's going to put shots down onto east stairs, but the frag grenade will come through. Kick 24 finds 21. 17 will clean up Anxious Emu, and it's now all down to the Sledge. And when there's a clash in the lineup, it's even more difficult to deal with if you're on your own. No frag grenades left either, so he's going to be left with trying to find kills. Ooh, he's very close to finding the headshot there over onto the Maestro, but 28 seconds left to go. He has got the diffuser in hand, but this kind of situation with a Clash just isn't something that you want to really deal with. You need to be setting up a crossfire. You need to be trying to use some of your utility, whether that's frag grenades, Sophia lifeline, or a Capitao asphyxiating bolt to try and deal with that Clash. He's going to push in here, and he is going to feel the full effect of the Clash. He might find a kill here, but it will be impactless as Nige grabs the headshot from the cheeky angle. I don't like that angle, stood up on side of the lockers. You get a great line of sight over on inside of Archives, and it's very unpredictable. People don't expect you to be there if they come through the breach or the door either, so a bit of a cheeky one there, but it does the business.
Certainly did the business. And that Clash pick, you know, proving its worth there. It's pretty much when you get down to one attacker left, if you've got a Clash left on the board, that should be practically unlosable should that situation. And that's exactly what happened. Just nice and patient as he pushed in there, just using that shock effect just to really take all of the Thermite's attention and just leave it as an easy kill for Maestro to mop up. So we are now heading into round number 8, and Plymouth Armada are going to take charge now, with Sim Bristol Smugglers having the early success on this map so far. But things switch around. Plymouth Armada start doing very nicely on the defence.
And they needed to do something because their attacks were a little bit lackluster.
How about Anxious Emu that round?
Anxious Emu coming out of nowhere. I don't want to say he's had a nightmare up to this point, but he's not had the best night of his life. He's just come out there.
I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it.
He's just come out there and got probably the most important 3K we've seen of the game.
And let's not write that off. Let's not write off how difficult that is. We've all been there where you're having that bad night and you're not hitting shots and you are unlucky with the timing, and that is what a lot of this will come down to. You just got to, you know, you check a corner, you check a corner, you check a corner, and then when you got to move around it, you get headshot. It's like, you know, it's ridiculous sometimes. So to come back from that is fantastic. He's now got himself onto 4 kills. He's up there with the rest of his team, and it really has won the round and swung the momentum for Plymouth there. You know, going in and getting the Thermite and in the book particularly. If you could have picked 2 operators to take off that lineup for an Armory defence, it'd have been those 2.
Especially with Clash, because any throwables need to be going if you're going to try and keep your Clash alive.
Yep.
And another 2 frag grenades off the side. But I mean, even vertical play, if you can get underneath the Clash, even better, because the shield just isn't even a factor then. So yeah, 2 very, very important kills, and just showing his worth for his team. He's no doubt going to go from strength to strength now. Now you can see the difference in the setup here. Plymouth Armada, they're setting up with 2 ADSs back here, and that's because Nige has decided he's going to die on his post. He's going to hold that half wall until the bitter end. It does all rely on Bristol Smugglers actually pushing him out of there, which I think they probably will. We've got a bit of control here on CCTV and Break Room from Whiston and 17 of Jackal. So I'm sure that they're going to look to push into Armory and open up that floor and do all the good stuff that you can achieve with Armory control. But I like the setup from Plymouth Armada. They're investing the utility where it's going to matter and not just placing an ADS down on Insight on the off chance it's going to pick up something. They're placing it where they know it is going to work. This Twitch drone is running absolute riot downstairs, going pretty unchecked. But the push could come through detention, as we do have a bit of presence out there. Bristol on a very slow approach. We are halfway into the round, and I don't think that they're sure on how they want to push this just yet.
No, I'd agree with that. They've got Whiston upstairs on the sledge, and that is a soft wall. Yeah, he's on his drone. He could easily... Oh, no, it's not. It's actually reinforced as we get a bit closer. So he's opened the single door, and he knows, I think, that Nige is in behind that half wall. But what a great job Nige is doing here. We're a minute 10 into the round, and as you say, Bristol just don't seem to know how they want to challenge these top floor roamers. And if they're going to have any joy of getting the diffuser down in ventilation, they're going to have to clear them out. There goes one. Anxious Emu will go down. That's the Vigil. Nige is still in place. He's going to start making challenges as Twitch and Sledge come through here. He's holding himself in a tight angle, and he cannot be ignored. They're going to have to clear him out, because as soon as they start to ignore him and push towards site, he's going to pop out and make an absolute nuisance of himself. He holds himself even longer. As you said, he's quite prepared to die on his post, and die on his post he will do. 40 seconds left, and that is 2 of the Plymouth Armada cleared out. Bristol Smugglers having a great attack here as they go 5 versus 3 on the man count, 5 versus 2 as Slithermore will be taken out, and they need to start thinking about that push to site here. You can't always guarantee that you can leave even one defender alive. Bumble Bishop will get the first kill. It's going to have to be an ace clutch, but no! He will get taken out with a headshot as 2 of the attackers. One drops the hatch and one comes in through the single door, and it's just too much room to deal with, and that will be around levelling things up for a piece. Bristol Smugglers.
I feel like we maybe gave Bristol a bit of a hard time there on how they used the time within that round. But it came out in the end. But it doesn't always work like that. You can't rely on 20 seconds, one guy in sight and the diffuser to be on the floor. Not a lot of people were in a position to be able to refrag that, and it took everyone piling into sight in the last second to get that kill.
To be fair, when you watch teams like G2, yes, they leave their execute to the last 20 seconds, 25 seconds, and to them it's like a lifetime. You know, there's still so much can be achieved, but we all know, you know, that it is difficult to do that. You know, that's why they, you know, they are in the position they're in, is because they're able to do so much in such a short space of time. Generally speaking, like you say, when you leave it to the late round like that, that's when mistakes start to happen, and you do things like lose your diffuser in sight, and it does get a bit more difficult. But being that they were against one, I don't think they had too much of a problem there in just cleaning that up towards the end. So we're going to head into round number 9 then. It's going to be that difficult custom site. We've had one round go each way so far on Bristol's attack. They're doing well, but it's a custom site. They need to get that top floor clearance, and I think they need to do it a little bit quicker this time than they did last time.
Absolutely. They can't afford to be wasting so much time. So, it's not necessarily that they wasted it, because they were using it to drone and figure it out and get people in the right position to be able to use the utility. So get someone able to, you know, get 2 people able to be over in offices from archive side to push through and pick up the Jaeger plane behind half wall and all that sort of good stuff. And that's fine. That just needs to happen a lot quicker, and that's the sort of thing that needs to be decided in the prep phase, so that you can spawn correctly. And once you've spawned correctly, you've got a very clear idea of where you're doing. There's a little bit of just like, oh, am I going this way, am I going that way? And you can see the kind of hesitation. But that being said, it just speaks to how much this game means for the Smugglers. They have to win this game to be in with a shot of winning this tournament. Plymouth Armada, on the other hand, they'll be pretty comfortable at this point. They're sitting 4-4. It's not unusual territory. We saw them at a very similar round count over on in Villa, and they were able to clutch that round out. Slithermore looking to get a bandit trick off. And it's a very big shame that there's no Zafir, because that's something that can be dealt with quite easily with Zafir. 15 there, not going to lose his exothermic charge, and he is going to be able to place it elsewhere. Slithermore doesn't look like he's got enough time. He is going to take a heck of a lot of damage for his trouble as well, and fall. Bit of an impactless play there from the bandit. He'd have been better off getting away with his life, but it can be so tempting to just try and get that exothermic charge gone. But with detention open, it is going to force Bristol to do something with it.
Yeah, always difficult as a bandit. Basically, if the thermite charge is already activated, just walk away. It's not worth your life, and that's what's going to happen. You just don't have time to get that bandit down. We can see Bumble Bishop getting a kill there and bringing things back towards his team's favour, but that is all he will do as the detention push comes along, and Bumble Bishop will lose his life. That's some good utility gone with the Legion as well. We've already seen how valuable those goo mines can be, and there will be no more put down. Kick 24 moves in and gets one back for Plymouth Armada. So that's now going to bring us to a 2 versus 3. Sledge is on half health, and we've got Anxious Emu on the vigil, able to move around. But he's just rushing too much, and he's not in his ADS as he's coming round those corners. You really do need to search rooms and corridors with your gun barrel. Whiston moves in and gets the final kill onto Kick 24 then, and that will be a round in the favour of Bristol Smugglers. And once again, the momentum swings, and this match is full of surprises, and the Bristol Smugglers are certainly not done yet. Mistakes from the Vigil there, X.
No, you can't blame the Vigil. Eastairs' camera is still up.
It's got to have his gun barrel up.
The camera's still up though. You've got like 3 teammates dead. If no one's watching the camera, I'd have been well, I think I'd have screamed. You've got to watch the cams. The camera's still up. You get a good idea of where people are. If one camera's up, there's a chance a couple are going to be up. I think Anxious Emu again just falling on the wrong side of luck, fortune, timing. You know, his teammates probably cycling through the cameras and just not quite got to that one yet. But yeah, you know, running, you know, full pelt into
something that if you're not being given that information, regardless of whether it's available or not, if you're just running full on into the unknown, there was still time left in the round. I think you leave yourself in a difficult, a tricky situation there. And you know, his reaction, we've all been there, the panic knife. You know,
I love the panic knife.
I love a good panic knife. He wasn't quite close enough to have effect, and Jackal just managed to react a little bit quicker there and get his ADS up and get the shots on. But that certainly wasn't, it's not fair to pin the whole round on that. It was just a little bit unfortunate for him. So we're going to move into round number 10 then, 5-4 in favour of the Bristol Smugglers. Are they able to take border and send us all the way to Consulate to decide this Belong Arena Clash final? And what a better way to end it than this sort of titanic battle between two of the best teams that we've seen so far this year.
I mean, neck and neck. It's such a close game that we've got on our hands here, and you just know that Plymouth are going to win this round and take it to 5-5.
Absolutely.
I mean, the stats say that they're going to, because they won last time they played in Armada. They did a very good job. They had the castle. They had the Clash. This time we've got the Echo as well. Now, we saw Echo banned out in Villa, and we've not seen Echo played yet on Border. This is going to be the first round number 10, that we are going to see Echo being played. And I think that just speaks to a bit of a shift in the way that the Armada are going to be playing this. They're recognising now the need to pick up these rounds. They don't want to be going to 6, because that's going to mean they don't want to let Bristol get to 6, because that's going to mean guaranteed overtime. They're going to want to cut this round, you know, cut this game and nip it in the bud, grab this round and the subsequent rounds, and really try and stave Bristol from getting onto a match point. And I think that's why we're seeing a little bit more of a site-based setup this time coming out from Plymouth, and they're really going to try and trade off these kills when the time comes. But that is going to allow the Smugglers a lot of space and a lot of time and a lot of area to work with. Also, Whiston reading into things very well and bringing the Capital. Now, Bishop will be putting the Echo MP5 to good work, finding that kill onto Thermite, which is going to make the Smugglers' job that much more difficult. And I think if you remember, it was the Thermite we lost first on the last time that they attacked over onto this objective as well. So unless Capital's in a position to deal with this clash, it's going to be a very tough round for Bristol, and 20 seeing a heck of a lot of pressure there on inside offices and has to actually dip out. Bumble Bishop with his second kill of the round over onto Twitch, and it's going in Plymouth's favour. About a minute left on the clock.
It really is going in Plymouth's favour, as predicted. Like you said, they defended this site very well last time, and we've got that early thermite kill again, which just makes it very difficult without being able to breach the site. That said, Whiston putting Capitow's asphyxiating bolts to excellent use there to pick up the kill. Meanwhile, Anxious Emu definitely having a better game now, gets himself a kill onto 20, and that brings us to 4 versus 2 now in favour of the Plymouth Armada, and they really are up against it here are the Bristol Smugglers in this one. We do have Whiston on the Capito. We've also got the Jackal alive with him, so potentially a bit of information available there if we can start getting some tracks. Whiston taking some big shots there, but Anxious Emu will be cleared out on the Vigil, so that does allow access into office now, but Whiston is on about 3 HP here, and it's definitely a one shot that will come from Bumble Bishop, and a second kill from Bumble Bishop will finish the round in the favour of Plymouth Armada, and that will level things up once again.
Got a squad full of gunners. Bumble Bishop coming out huge in that round. I think he picked up a 4K.
How many 4Ks have we seen?
Seen tons of 4K. You see, he's matching Slithermore now. He's on 10 kills. And on the Echo as well. He needs to bring the Echo more often because he does good work with it. It's just like the Maestro. He just plays in sight, keeps his sets his cameras up, plays his angles, and as you can see, kills for fun. 5-5 now, and Plymouth are going to be feeling pretty good about themselves. If they clutch this round, it's going to put them on match and series point. Ventilation room and workshop is where we are going to be throwing down. Slithermore maybe just going to bait out this clash pick and switch over onto the Maestro. I don't think we've seen all too much 6 picking over on the side of Bristol, which is a bit of a shame, because if you've got it, you should really use it, because it does still sort of disguise your operators, if you will. Even if you pick onto the same operator, it can just throw that level of uncertainty out there. But maybe Clash just trying to bait out the Capitao again, and you know, maybe a couple of mind games there. At this point, I think Slithermore's probably thinking, look, it's match point. Bumble's had a few kills. I've played the Shield a couple of rounds. I want to come in big, get this onto match point.
Absolutely, and that's what Plymouth are really going to be looking to do here, is get themselves through and onto match point and give themselves an opportunity to close things out here and win this tournament. After 10 good weeks for them, they've got themselves all the way to the NEC, they're on the stage and they're ready to take it. So round number 11 then, and we are going to see us heading into the action phase now. Last time we saw the ventilation, it was a win for the attackers. If you remember, there was a very slow top floor take. It didn't harm them too much in terms of the actual outcome of the round, but it did leave a lot to be done late in the round, and they had to sort of rein in kills. We can see Nige behind that half wall again. He was ready to give his life for it last time. He kept hold of it until there was only 45 seconds remaining, so it looks like that's going to be the case again. Anxious Emu upstairs on the Vigil, and that is a dangerous prospect over the last few rounds we've seen from Anxious Emu, so that is something that the Bristol Smugglers are going to have to pay close attention to, and they need to get in a little bit quicker than they did last time and close those two out.
Yeah, it did just take about 30 seconds too long, I think it'd be fair to say, to shut down the players upstairs. And you can't ignore them because they're going to be playing down onto you when you move on into the site. So it really should be everybody's top priority as attackers to clear out that top floor, get the wall opened with thermite if it's reinforced, and really push on and apply a heck of a lot of pressure. You can even shoot up in through the window outside a B-bomb, up the floor, and that can provide some pressure as well. There's multiple ways of dealing with it. We can see Jackal has got a track over on somebody over inside of offices. Whiston on Sledge. He could open up Fountain Wall and shut that down. I think it's probably going to be Anxious Emu, but Sledge is going to rotate downstairs as the push does seem to be coming. I think they're ignoring everybody that's playing upstairs and looking maybe to just push down onto site, which could be quite risky indeed. But the Smugglers may be clutching at straws here and just trying to try new things, as there is a lot on the line here, and they are going to really need to win this round. Whiston now back upstairs. He's going to make his way over on into Armory. Anxious Emu still being allowed to play over inside of Archives. Will be tracked yet again. So Anxious Emu's been tracked twice, yet not received a single bullet in his direction. Location now has been known of Nige, and that's going to cause Whiston to rotate in, but Anxious Emus is just going to be right behind him. The kill comes through for Whiston, and he does manage to turn around, doesn't lose his life to Anxious Emu. I think the Jackal track could have helped there, certainly, but an engagement will ensue, and it is going to be the Zephyr. The wall will be being opened downstairs, not very typical spot. Oh, it is in bathroom, so it is the typical spot, sorry, and that is going to allow Thatcher and Thermite some line of sight on in. Zephyr with a lifeline kill over onto Anxious Emu. Now the odds are being swung in Bristol's favour. This is a 5 versus 3. It's looking pretty good. Jackal's taking a good few points of damage there, and with 30 seconds left, they're going to have to look to get some more kills and the diffuser down. What an easy kill there for Thatcher to pick up as the diffuse will start to go down. It is a 5 versus 1 now, as Slithermore is the last alive. He will get cleaned up, and that puts the Smugglers over onto match point.
Better from Bristol there, I think. There was a bit more urgency. I sort of thought it was slipping when Whiston just came downstairs and left the Jackal upstairs on his own with 2 defenders up there, but he moved back upstairs, got some good challenges on, cleared Nige out, cleared Anxious Emu out, and from there it was pretty much good night. And that shows the real value of taking that top floor. How quickly did that round descend once those 2 defenders had been cleared from upstairs? The round was over about 20 seconds later, so there is a lot of value in doing that.
Yeah. It just goes to show how much is on the line, because Bristol was so tentative about doing it. They had Jackal pings on Anxious Emu for probably 40 seconds in the start of that round. That's a really long time to be Jackal pinged, and you really should expect to be converting that overrun into a kill. But they're just not wanting to put themselves in those like risky engagements. They're wanting to try and really guarantee those kills, and it does seem like they perform quite well under pressure when the clock is ticking down as well. Especially when they're on attack, they do seem to be able to find those kills in those dying few seconds, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's not reliable. It's not something that they can do. They need to have a little bit more confidence in themselves, because they could have cleaned that round up a heck of a lot sooner than they did.
Certainly could. So looking towards round number 12 then, we're going to have the Bristol Smugglers here on match point. This one could potentially push us into a 3rd map on Consulate, and with how close this match has been, you couldn't say that there would really be a fairer outcome for these 2 teams. It really does deserve to go all the way, but we're going to see if that will happen. Plymouth are going to be fighting to take this to overtime now. We saw a very similar situation in the first map, but Plymouth were able to close it out 7-5, taking Villa from Bristol Smugglers, but I'm sure they will do everything they can here. So we're going to see a ventilation hold again. What do Plymouth need to do differently here? They've been holding top floor reasonably well. They've been getting down to the last 40 seconds still alive up there, wasting a lot of time, but it just hasn't been enough.
They need to do something that they've not done yet this evening, and that is win downstairs in vents. That's the top and bottom of it, and I'm not sure how they do that, because they defend top floor very well. But downstairs, it just seems like they struggle. I don't think that they're rotating back down onto site. It's all very well and good dying at your post, defending half wall, but if you can take one with you, hatch open, rotate back down onto site, you're then in the fight for the final few seconds for your anchors to try and support that. We can see Slithermore this time is playing upstairs, not Nige, as has been in the previous 2 rounds. And he's playing it a little bit differently. He's playing a little bit more active, if you will. He's looking over onto that main stairs area. He isn't seeing as much pressure as Nige has seen up there. We've still got Jackal upstairs over in CCTV. And I'm sure Jackal's going to try and make his way on to try and find any footprints. Whiston over in break room as well. But you can see we're nearly halfway into the round. At this point, Bristol are going to be thinking, look, what do? We need to win this round. We're doing a lot of droning. We're really trying to find out as much information as we can to try and pinpoint some of these roamers, because they're going to need to get an early pick if they're going to look to see some success. But statistics show that they have won every single time they've attacked onto this site, so they've just got to do what they've done previously. Jackal almost was gifted with a kill there at the bottom of East Stairs. There's going to be a lot of footprints here. That should lead him to believe somebody is relatively close. There's actually someone playing just over at the bottom of the main stairs inside the atrium area. He just needs to push down ever so slightly and he will see, but Bristol 20 is going to find Anxious Emu. Again, Anxious Emu falling on the bad side of that first blood.
So we come towards the final minute now, and Bristol Smugglers have got themselves the first 2 kills as Whiston moves in with one onto Slithermore, but Bumble Bishop will get one back before being traded straight out with a headshot. We see the diffuser going down from the Thatcher, and this is looking very, very good for the Bristol Smugglers. The diffuser will stick. It's now 1 versus 4, and Nige manages to get the first. We know how good he can be on site, but he will take damage there, and this is a big ask. Will he get the second? second. No, he'll miss his shots, and Jackal will be able to hit him with the knife. Finish things off for the Bristol Smugglers, and we are going all the way to map 3. This will be decided on Consulate.
There's no other way that this should end, really,
I agree.
than seeing the games go 7-5, 7-5, and then the third map. It suits it down to the ground. It's been a great series so far, and you can see the scoreboard just flashing up there. What a spread of kills yet again. Whiston, another 10k. Slithermore, another 10. Bumble Bishop as well. And I think that looking over now onto Consulate, it's just anybody's again. It really is anybody's.
These guys have put up a great show tonight. That's one thing that's for sure. They really, really have turned up. They've had a long travel. It's been a long journey getting here, not just today physically, but over the 10 weeks throughout the season. And what a way to finish it off. They've both absolutely turned over. The last thing that I wanted to see today was either of these teams get rolled over, and that's not what we've seen. They really are fighting tooth and nail for it. It's absolutely no surprise. And, what surprises does Consulate have in store for us?
These teams have both come to play. They've both shown us things tonight they've not shown us in previous weeks. So that would lead me to believe that they've prepared fairly well for this evening. It's a big stage. They're not going to want to be coming in underprepared. They've not done that. The fragging potential that we've seen on both sides has been incredible. And I think we're just going to see even more of that when we move on to Consulate. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I think so. We're just going to have a look through a short VT of replays there for you as we just consider what has happened there. We've seen a real mixture of play there. We've seen, we've had good roam clears, we've had bad roam clears, we've had, really effective roams, we've had good pushes straight onto site, we've had a lot of diffuser and objective play again. And like you say, these teams adapting very, very well.
And that's been the key, has been the adaptation between the rounds. None of the teams doing anything too drastically different round to round, but both teams making good, small adjustments. The margins in Siege are so small, you don't often have to change a whole lot to make a round go from unsuccessful to being successful. And that's what these teams have done very well at. And, players stepping up. Anxious Emu is someone we've given a pretty hard time to. And, it's hard to ignore. He's been first blood quite a couple of times. He's fallen on the wrong side of that look. He's obviously providing some good information on the cameras for his team. And he comes out with a massive 3k clutch just when Plymouth needed it. It wasn't enough to take the map, but it kept them in the fight.
I certainly think Anxious Emu's been struggling more on the attacking side than defensive side. When he's got himself onto the defence and he can use that vigil, he's made a real nuisance of himself. So that's something that they need to be thinking about in the break, is exactly how can we change Anxious Emu's fortune on the attack more than anything. Slow it down, take him onto the drone potentially, just really mix it up and get him doing some different things rather than going and attacking every time as the entry fragger. If that luck is not with you, if that timing is not with you, don't keep pushing it. Don't keep pushing him through those barricades, first of all, and losing him each time. Mix it up. Get him drawn in for somebody else, Get him drawn in Nigin or, whoever's gunning at that point.
The thing is, that being said, look at the rest of the team. You've got Nige, Bumble Bishop, Slithermore. Which one do you move? Which one do you take off that anchor operator or semi-anchor operator? Because they're all doing a great job individually. So it's almost like Anxious Emu's doing his job as the roamer and the entry fragger. And if he dies, he dies. As long as there's a camera for him to set up and watch, that's good. If he takes one with him, he takes one with him. But the anchors and the support players, they're just so focused in what they need to do, and they've got such good ability to get the kills as well. This was the real big clutch from Maestro coming out, just sticking the diffuser. You can see 21 there.
Such little health as well to
just
make that
nothing
stick.
to make that stick, and decides to prone in, just gets it. A bit of a long arm situation there. Slithermore's kill.
You just can't get the angle. We've all been there where you think it's planted just inside the window, so I can defend this easily, and then you realise you've got 3 seconds to get to an angle that you just can't get to, and it really is frustrating for the attackers when that happens because you feel like you're in such a strong position.
Yeah, especially there mustn't have been a drone on it as well. That was probably a big thing. If there'd have been a drone on it,
yeah, you didn't seem to know where exactly where he was.
Well, that's the panic, and that's how big the stage is. These teams are trying to put everything out there on the line, and you can imagine. I'd love a listening on the comms because I think it'd be awesome. I think it would be really interesting indeed. Whiston didn't have a good time with that Claymore at all. That was the clutch that almost was. But the defuse
Always look for Claymore's kids.
It was the clutch that almost was. Doc had I think it was like a second on that defuse.
Yeah.
It was so little time, and he just didn't quite manage to clutch it out. But as we said, 1 speed, 3 armor. It's not the kind of operator you can be making those sort of extravagant rotates with. But it needed to be done. The kills,
had to try. He had to try.
He needed to get the kills. Had he not juiced himself up, had he just gone for a straight peak onto kick 24, it could have been a bit of a different story. But I think ultimately the rounds that were won by Plymouth Armada were very well deserved. And it really wouldn't have surprised me if they'd have won it all out there and then. I would have expected Bristol to take it to an overtime just because of how well they've been playing.
Yep.
But to go to a map 3, we're just going to a really big overtime at this point.
This is it. It's all the marbles now on this final map. It really is. We say it time and again. We are going to throw you to a very short break just to give our throats a little rest and also the players a comfort break before heading into that 3rd map. We want them at their best and really coming out firing to give you an entertaining finale to what has been an amazing match so far, and I'm sure it's going to be just as close. So don't go anywhere. Get yourself a drink, get yourself a bit of food, get yourself back, and we will see you in just a few minutes. Welcome back to the Belong Arena Clash finals with me, Ace of Pyrite, and the ever wonderful XR Troika.
Thank you very much, Tim. What a game we've seen so far. What two maps we have seen so far. Villa and Border both going 7-5-1 in favour of Plymouth Armada. That was Villa. And Border in favour of the Bristol Smugglers.
Absolutely.
What can you ask for?
You can't, can you? Absolutely. It's what this deserved. It's, 9 weeks in the making. These boys have come from heading into the local Belong Arena, not part of a team, forming up, going through that process, getting better. We've seen them improving week after week after week. And now they're here on stage at the NEC. What an exciting conclusion to that season for them. Getting that LAN experience and just enjoying an audience watching them and everything else. Really, really great stuff for them. And we will be heading to Consulate. How do you see this one playing out based on what we've seen so far?
7-5?
7-5 overtime?
7-5 sounds fair. It really is going to go down to the wire. Both these teams are so equally matched, and they're both doing a really good job of changing things on the fly. We spoke about it before. They're not changing huge things. They're just adapting slight parts of their game, which is the most important thing, because usually if you change too much, it won't work. You've just got to change the couple of things that maybe aren't working out for you. And I think we're going to see a lot of the same. Consulate is a map, it's viable to roam on. Border, less so. You tend to lurk. We saw a little bit of lurking around East Stairs area. Jaeger had some really good success there. Anxious Emu as well came in really big. They're more lurks and late flanks other than full roams where you can sort of command area of a map and really force players to push you out. That doesn't tend to happen so much on Border, but a map like Consulate, you've got admin area upstairs, that can be a real nightmare to try and push out. Or you can be looking at trying to push people out of garage, depending on where the site is. So I think the roamers could have a field day here, and it's all going to be about how the attackers are able to deal with that game.
Absolutely agree. So we're going to be moving into the banning phase now for Consulate. We're going to see the Bristol Smugglers coming out on defence first of all, so they will ban the IQ, and I think we saw that last time, X, and you commented. I think we've got a little bit of a target ban there going on against Slithermore. But it worked. It did the job. It disrupted him.
He got 18 kills in Villa. He dropped 10 on Border. Yep. Now, it's still a heck of a lot of kills. You'd still be happy with either. But, if you can make him only cost 10 and not 18 by taking the IQ off. He was doing great work on the IQ as well. It was really suffering, the Legion play was suffering quite a lot for it, purely because he was able to just find so many of those goo mines on his scanner. It was really working against him quite a lot. Jackal going to come out as a ban as well. We've seen Jackal played a lot from both sides, really.
But it speaks towards that roam game as well, that, that's possibly trying to support themselves in getting a roam game going because they don't have the Jackal working against them. No surprise to see the Valkyrie banned out there, given that IQ is off the board. We know that it's one of Valkyrie, if not her most powerful map, so you really can't have those cams flying out if you don't have the IQ there to be able to hunt them down and take them out, because you can see about 80% of the outside of Consulate with 2 Valk cams. It really is extremely powerful.
Yeah, and the Echo, Bumble Bishop put the Echo to great work. And the rounds that Plymouth Armada took, the Echo, the Maestro, and maybe like a Rook or a Dock, and they played heavy on site, it was difficult for Bristol Smugglers to deal with that. I think Bumble Bishop picked up a 4K on the Echo, and it's not necessarily the operator that achieved that. It was just the fact they had so many players able to play on site, along with the clash as well. It was a real turtle defense that worked out for them. I like the Echo ban because it removes, usually you remove either Echo or Maestro, but removing Echo out of that, the 2 cameras that Echo's got, I think they're a little bit more powerful than Maestro, especially with the new nerf to Maestro, don't forget. We've seen that nerf come through a couple of times where you can actually Twitch drone it or Thatcher EMP it, and the glass will open ever so slightly. You can shoot through the glass and destroy the camera. So Maestro has received a slight nerf, and that could speak to why we've seen him not banned out all too much this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. Things do change as those, buffs and nerfs come in. It really does mix up the meta a little bit. So we're going to be heading into round number 1 then. We are nearly underway with the first action phase. Both teams here are going to want to come out with a strong start. They're going to want to take these first couple of rounds, but saying that, we've seen that happen on both maps so far. We've seen it go 2-0, we've seen it go 3-0, and then just be brought right back. We haven't seen anybody taking too much of an advantage out of that first half so far, so we'll see how that goes.
It depends how much you want to read into it. I think Plymouth Armada won the first round on Villa, well, the first 3 rounds on Villa, and they won the map. Bristol Smugglers won the first couple of rounds on border and they won the map. It's not as clear cut as that because the rounds in between are just back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. But it's a statistic, so let's throw it out there. Let's see who wins this map, who wins this first round. Are they going to go on to go on to win the map? I don't know. Let us know in chat, I guess. But Whiston going to be downstairs in piano on the pulse, and he's going to be receiving quite a bit of pressure early on. Anxious Emu. It seems Anxious Emu versus Whiston has been quite a popular engagement that we've seen over the course of this evening, but unless Anxious Emu gets himself out onto the rappel, he's not really going to be able to do all too much. He's going to hop into his drone and drone himself in as the Ash, as Whiston's still allowed to play downstairs in piano. He's obviously looking to use a C4 and to try and deny any sort of plant. He's got Jaeger playing in conjunction with him over on inside Antechamber, and I'm pretty sure that Whiston will be able to see on the scanner Nige, and he does, because I didn't think he'd find the angle there through the window, but he did manage to find it using the heartbeat scanner to perfection and picking off the twitch over on rappel.
Yep, great first kill from Whiston again. That's something that we've seen consistently throughout the night, showing his value of coming out and getting those early frags to put his team in an early man advantage. But it's now, what can Bristol do with it? We can see we've got Kick24 just moving into admin, unchallenged really and unchecked. I'm not sure if anybody's aware of his presence over there. It doesn't seem like there's too much attention being paid. He's going to be getting onto the drone. He now knows that he's got at least one in meeting room. He may not know that there's one behind long desk as well, but it is going to allow him to start progressing forward. And if the defenders aren't aware of this, it could become very dangerous.
Anxious Emu on the Ash, still outside in the drone within the last minute of the round, isn't somewhere that you want to be as the Ash. That needs to be an entry frag role, getting the Thatcher and other operators to drone you in. Doc is still commanding a lot of control over onside a long desk, and Kick24 is going to try his luck at a different line of attack through copy room. He's going to have to come through the barbed wire. Doesn't see Doc playing behind the desk. All of a sudden, it is a 5 versus 3 in favour of the Smugglers, and it is looking pretty good indeed. Whiston now rotating upside of, circle stairs, spiral stairs, and he is going to be able to rejoin the fight. Bumble Bishop outside on rappel on west windows. He's not going to have a lot of joy there if he does just try to repel him with 13 seconds left, and Sledge, he does find the kill over onto the Sledge, and down in the meantime onto Anxious Emu, but he will get traded out. The diffuser is on the floor. Bumble Bishop does manage to withstand himself. Whiston's not aware of where he is, and the frag is going to come through. No! 2 quick kills for Bristol. 1 for the Jaeger and 1 for the Doc. Will close things out in a convincing first round win there.
Yeah, always going to be difficult there. I think the Zofia withstand is something that we've already seen the power of. It can potentially turn around, but I don't think that was going to happen with 3 defenders pouring back into the objective there.
We saw it with 2.
We saw it with 2. I think 3 was a stretch there, seeing as they were all aiming at her as well.
3's pushing it.
Yeah. So that will be the first round going to Bristol Smugglers. A very steady defence from them there. There was no sort of flash, no showmanship to it, just nice, steady defence. As the pushers came, they just held them off, got the kill, just nice individual, not getting into massive bloodbath gunfights all at once. I like that from Bristol Smugglers.
I think this map suits both teams much more than the previous 2 that we've seen because of the way the engagements usually play out. It's not like Villa where you're turning corners into people. Usually you've got a good idea of which direction attackers are going to be pushing in from, and you're going to be able to set up accordingly to deal with that. Bit of an unusual bomb site choice coming through for the second pick. Typically, you'd look maybe to go downstairs to garage and try and stack on your deniability. So you'd look to bring a Maestro, maybe even a Mirror. Mirror is, of course, available. A Smoke, a couple of C4s. But instead, we're going to go to Lobby. It is equally defensible, but it just relies on a little bit more team synergy and, of course, keeping hold of that top floor. Top floor control is so important defending onto this bomb site. You can see that is where Legion is basing himself with the hatch open, as is pretty typical. So he's able to drop down and rejoin the fight or try and deny any sort of plant from going down. Bit of a strange bomb site choice, but I like it. It shows that Bristol Smugglers aren't afraid to try things, and they've obviously got a setup for this that they've already planned.
Thing is, they've just come off the back of a good defence on that first round, so you sort of think, well, maybe actually now is the time to try that more difficult site. If we can get that cleared off and get 2-0, we then look forward to going to Garage, which is a site we'll be more comfortable with, and they may be fairly confident of coming out of that with 3 wins.
And look at the setup. Plymouth Armada aren't typically set up for this. Usually you bring a Glaz because you're able to watch quite a long angle under the cover of smoke. You'd also bring a Monty so that you're actually able to get a plant down, because it can be really difficult to get a plant down inside that circle vertical desk area. The lineup that Plymouth Armada have brought is much more suited toward a garage attack, and it could just be a little bit of a debate there that we are seeing. Anxious Emu again droning himself in upstairs, will find the Legion. Legion is going to spot the drone a little bit late though. Anxious Emu could have maybe kept that alive if he'd have dropped it down the hatch, but he's going to be left with a tricky choice. Does he go down outside and up the top of yellow stairs? What's his play going to be? Yellow stairs is going to be somewhere that could be contested, as he's pretty much going to have to walk past the bomb site to get up and deal with those roamers.
Certainly is. So we come to 1 minute 45 remaining, and we've got Castle just making a nuisance of himself there. He's going to have to be cleared out, as you say, before any real progress can be made. Just holding himself tight in the site there, waiting by the piano. We can see that asphyxiating bolt near the main door, so that will signal a potential push coming from that direction. But looking here, we've got Nige, we've got Bumble Bishop, both on these single windows into piano, and they are going to start making things very uncomfortable for the Castle, and it won't get any better for him as he just rotates around in sight and will put himself into the line of sight of Bumble Bishop, and that will be the first man gone for Bristol. So that will now leave us 5 versus 4, but we only have a minute remaining here, and the challenge will come in onto the Ella, and that is the second for Bumble Bishop with a headshot, and a third. He could be on for the ace here. He's going to be looking, I'm sure, as the diffuser goes down, for more of these defenders. It's just the two that were left playing upstairs that are now still there. We'll see that Ella mine going off while Anxious Emu gets in and gets the first of those onto the Jaeger, and that'll be a 4K for Bumble Bishop as he takes out the final man, and Plymouth Armada come back strong.
That really needed a Vigil to aggressively run out onto balcony. There was 2 players that were on rappel for a large portion of that round. It could have been quite an easy 2K there if Legion had just got a little bit of aggressive, ran out onto the balcony. It can be a difficult place to actually get shot from, just through the way that the angles onto it work from the ground. You can't, if you're directly underneath it, you've not got a chance. You've got to almost be all the way back in spawn to actually get an angle onto that balcony. If someone's on rappel, they could be watching it, but the players weren't watching it. They were really preoccupied with anybody that was over on inside of piano. It could have been quite a free kill there onto Thatcher and Zafir. And I don't know that Legion was actually seeing that much pressure upstairs. He could have rotated down a little bit earlier. Ella, again, a bit of an off-pick, not an operator that we've seen Smugglers bring so far this evening. And I think we saw that in the way that the recoil was managed. It was a little bit all over the place, when up to now, we've seen both teams be fairly good in the gun skill department, which has been pretty crucial because it's been quite a frag-heavy game, despite the amount of times we've seen the diffuser go down.
Indeed. So we're moving to round at number 3 then. We're going to be looking at garage. We see that garage door opened up, and that's just going to be to aid the bandit in being able to hear when any of those thermite charges get placed. He's probably going to try his best to just keep them off there, but there is the potential for getting in upstairs, although they only have the Zafir, which will be able to open up the floor. No Sledge, no Ash, so that will help to be able to defend that bandit from possibly a vertical attack, and just give him the opportunity there to be able to keep those thermite charges at bay. That could be an important little battle as this round develops, to see who comes out on top and whether the bandit manages to get those charges off or whether the garage wall gets opened. We're going to see Whiston playing up on the top floor with the Jaeger. Again, not a bad idea. He's going to actually just drop down there. He's just, again, making a nuisance of himself. They don't know where he's going to be. He moves himself into the tellers area, and he's just trying to remain unpredictable. I think he's just trying to protect from a backside rush there as well.
Bumble Bishop with an easy kill there onto the Legion, and as predicted, he is going to be able to open up the wall. The Thatcher will deal with the bandits, and the line of sight that has been created will deter Bandit from trying to replace that battery. That wall being open with inside the first minute is very good progress indeed for Plymouth Armada, and they got a kill along the way as well. Just goes to show the synergy of this team. They're now able to drone out the garage, and it's going to be on players like Smoke to come up. I think he's playing all the way over inside of Archives. He's going to have to get himself back into the fray, position himself in and around the pipes area or at the pillar, just so that he's able to try and deny the entry onto this site, because as soon as these attackers decide that they want to start coming in, they've got a Blackbeard, they've got some smokes under the Capital, they've got the asphyxiating bolts that can block off those rotations. It's not going to be a fun time for the defenders when this push comes through from Plymouth Armada.
So we are down to the last 1 minute 30 now, and as you say, the pressure is starting to build. Capito just starting to put those bolts to use, getting the gadget to try and prepare this plant spot. I'm not really sure what the smoke was actually doing there, because they've not moved in to put any sort of plant down, so it was a little bit wasted there, and that one is just a little bit errant, as you can see, just off to one side, so it does leave a gap that Bandit can see down, and is potentially going to move through those asphyxiating bolts off to the other side. He will receive a ping, he will put a challenge onto Slithermore, but it won't be enough as Slithermore gets the headshot and takes the Bandit out, leaving him 4 versus 3 now in favour of Plymouth Armada. I'm a little bit surprised that Slithermore didn't maybe just try and get the plant down there, but the Toxic Babe will now come out 45 seconds, and that was a bit of a waste on that second one. No real need to put it in there. It leaves us 4 versus 2, and we can see 2 of the Plymouth Armada players now pushing themselves down at the yellow stairs. Slithermore surely going to think about getting a plant down here. He gets himself into a more favourable position, more of a default plant spot, and that will start to go down. Doc will move out for a challenge. Nige gets a kill, but will be traded straight back out. The diffuser does go down, and now Anxious Emu will put that Blackbeard face shield to its most use as he starts to challenge the Doc, who is trying to get himself back in. Unsurprisingly, he's going to juice himself back up and give himself every opportunity to get in and save this round for his team, but he's going to have to move quickly. He's now 1 versus 3, and this is one of the most difficult plant spots to retake for defenders, because the attackers can move so far back and just play off their ACOGs. It is extremely difficult, and as he moves in here to try and get the diffuser, his best chance is to try and sort of long arm from behind the garage door, but it won't be enough. He gets 1 kill onto Anxious Emu, but Kick 24 will trade that straight back out with a great angle from upstairs and finish things off for his team.
You can't forget about the vertical angle opened up, whether that's you or you're opening it up as a defender to try and deter the plank from coming through, or whether it is the attackers that are opening it up to stop the Bandit from being able to trick. Very difficult round for the Smugglers. They just weren't in the right places at the right time. The push came through and it was okay from Plymouth Armada. They did everything that you would expect for a typical garage take. The plant spot was questionable. They planted behind a reinforced wall in front of the black car. They'd have been better off planting in front of the white van, because they could have watched that from outside. Had the engagements gone a little bit differently, and it could have been like a 2v1 with the 1 being Plymouth, that was really winnable. If someone sticks the diffuser and Doc's able to keep the Blackbeard at bay with a bit of a long angle in the ACOG, could have gone a different way. So Plymouth Armada need to look at the plant spots, because it could have gone wrong for them. They could have really done themselves wrong there. But Bristol need to look at being in a better position at a better time, and I don't know why Smoke used 2 of his canisters back to back. There was 45 seconds. He could have denied the whole lot. All Doc's got to do is watch yellow, Smoke, all you got to do is smoke off the 1 exothermic charge hole that has been made, and you can smoke that off for upwards of 35 seconds. Bit of a shame really coming through, as I feel like it really was winnable for the Smugglers, but we've seen them have slow starts in the past and we've seen them clutch out rounds. I've no doubt this one's going to go their way. They did really well defending this site in the first round. Round 4 now, 2-round rotation parameter to the backup here. No doubt they're going to clutch out this round, take us to 2-2, and continue the form of this evening.
I'm absolutely sure that that will probably be the case. We saw a very, very good defence. I commented on it at the time. Very steady from Bristol. Nothing silly, no real risks. They've just done exactly as they've done now, battened down the hatches and watched their angles. We had some good play off the, defending the windows. We've got Whiston out there on the roam as the Cavera last time. I don't think that's something that they brought to the table last time on this defence, but we'll see if it has any impact. We can see Slithermore coming towards that admin side. He's going to maybe look to get himself in there quickly and just try to push from that admin side. You're pretty much looking at yellow stairs, single windows, or admin for this one, and we can see that Plymouth are doing very well and they're spreading themselves around all 3 to apply pressure.
Blackbeard on the windows as well can be something very difficult to deal with. Not a lot of attention has been shown really toward B. We have got Smoke playing over on inside Cubby with it shotgunned out. He could be dealt with from above, as we could be shooting out from Skylight the top of the reinforced wall and just making him feel uncomfortable. Sledge could maybe get a grenade down there and make him, take a couple of hit points away, providing he's not got an ADS. And that could be what Zephyr's going on for now, although Bumble Bishop does have the diffuser. Wisdom with a run out of Garage. That's a nice run out. I like to see that one. It does take a little bit more planning. You've got to be confident in your ability to hit your shots because you are going to get detected before you get in a position to shoot. But taking out the Blackbeard there, that's the operator that Plymouth are going to be looking toward to make a difference in this round. The lifeline comes through as predicted over onto the smoke, but no damage will incur. Slithermore does find one onto 20. That's the Doc. Doc had a lot of success defending this in round number 1, commanding that area around Long Desk, and he has been taken out. Slithermore will be down by Whiston. That could have been an interrogation opportunity, but he's going to take the chance to get the kill and swing the man count for real in their favour.
1 minute left to go, then we can see Nige just working that connector window, and as we saw last time, Plymouth just really struggling to make any meaningful progress onto this site. We've got Kick24 still outside, Bumble Bishop Nige still outside, not really gaining any sort of foothold, not really comfortable getting inside the map. Slithermore got himself in early. We're going to see a quick couple of kills as Kick24 goes down. Bumble Bishop will trade that one straight back out, so that now leaves us 3 versus 2, but there is the question of Whiston still out on the roam, still with those impact nades to potentially aid late rotations as well. Things are going to get difficult from here on in for Plymouth. Last 20 seconds though, they will get into meeting. They will start to potentially put the diffuser down. Out comes the Toxic Babe, but I'm not sure if it was actually on point or not. I think it was a little bit too far into the room, and it's going to allow Bumble Bishop to start putting the diffuser down. Smoke will move out and get the kill though, and that leaves Nige all alone. There was a team kill in there somewhere. Not sure how that happened, but it was irrelevant come the finish as the Bristol Smugglers, as predicted, bring it back to 2 apiece.
Smoke making full use of everything at his disposal there. Shotgun for the short range, switching over to the SMG-11 for that slightly longer range engagement just outside the window. Getting the job done. You'll love to see it. Kills a little bit more equal this time. Bristol are sharing them out. Bumble Bishop, he's come out of nowhere. Last game on Border, he started stepping things up, ramping things up in the kill department. I think he finished with about 10. This round, he's in the right place at the right time multiple times. He's always finding those picks on windows, doing a great job working the repel as Zephyr, which isn't something that Zephyr is typically known for. You can obviously work the repel on console, and it's vital as an attacker that you're able to do that because there's just so much potential for window play. But maybe just his team not backing him up as much as they could be. As the pushes do come through, they are a little bit disjointed onto that top floor, and I think Plymouth are going to be pretty happy at this point that with the 2-round rotation parameter, they're not going to go back upstairs because it's almost certain that they'd lose it again if they did.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. So we come into round number 5 then, 2 apiece, and absolutely nothing to separate these two teams as they are 1-all on maps as well. We saw Plymouth Armada take Villa earlier on, and then the Bristol Smugglers came through and took Border. Both very close 7-5 score lines going all the way to the final normal time round. We're going to head into the action phase now. Whiston is starting to just get a little bit aggressive. Needs to be careful with hitting that glass out because it does give a bit of a warning to the attackers that there's potentially a peek going on. If you just hold yourself a little bit further away from the window, you can knock the barricade out without touching the glass, and it's just a little sneakier. But he will get away with his life, and he won't get a sight onto any of those attackers, all being careful to move round away from the peaks. So we're going to have quite a spread out presence from the defenders at the minute. We've got Whiston heading all the way into Archives. We've got Legion upstairs around that main lobby and spiral staircase area, and we've only got 2 on site at the minute, so they need to be careful. Nige starts to push the garage door here. We've got the bandit down there, but I'm not sure he's really ready to trick. He has been forced away for the time being, but he will come in now and place that charge down. But I don't think the exothermic charge of Thermite was actually on the wall at that point, so he's just going to hold back his Nige. He's waiting for his moment. He starts to put it on as the EMP goes off, and that will be successfully detonated as Bandit is forced back away from that door. That's going to be some good early progress then from Plymouth Armada. 2 minutes left, and they've got the main garage door open.
Ambitious C4 toss there from Bandit, just trying to pick off Thermite. If he'd have just gone to the left and hid behind the reinforced wall, but no, Thermite has seen that one before. He's over by the stairs where it is relatively safe. Bumble Bishop again, right place, right time, finds the first one onto Whiston. That is going to be Jaeger. Nige did have a glimpse of somebody over at Pillars, and a few shots are going to be exchanged. If Doc gets a little bit too greedy here, he could see himself losing quite a large portion of his hit points. Nige has got a drone on him as well, and we'll know his location. The drone will be shot, but it will still reveal his location, and Nige will be in a bit of an easier spot there as he's able to challenge onto White Van, especially as the pressure comes in from Yellow Stairs as well. It's just going to force the defenders back that little bit more. Smoke has seen quite a large portion of damage, and I'm not too sure where that has come from at this moment in time. Shots coming in to Anxious Emu, going to damage him and his face shield a little bit. Legion as well, very lit. But in the hit points department, it's looking good for Plymouth Armada, and none of these defenders are actually getting juiced up by Doc, so I can only think that they are not in the vicinity. Bandit as well, eating his fair share. Now there's a good defense coming up. It's from the Pillars area and the pipes. Bandit's going to get a bit aggressive and push up onto Yellow Stairs. He needs to really hold that fort as long as he can. But there's the big kill coming out there for Bristol 21. That is going to be Bandit finding the kill onto the diffuser, traded out by Anxious Emu, and another kill got by Slithermore. Doc will find one of his own onto Kick 24, makes this a 2 versus 3, but Legion has not got much hit points to deal with, and Doc does go down from Bumble Bishop. The plan will go down from Anxious Emu, traded straight back out. It is going to be a tough one for Legion to clutch out, but Slithermore will find that final kill. Another good attack from Plymouth Armada. Not really anything that's phasing them on this garage attack. They look really confident on here.
I was a little concerned when they just kept going through that breach and running onto Doc's ACOG. They lost a couple of men there, but the Blackbeard managed to get in there and just clear the path, and that pretty much freed up the rest of the round from there. So that's going to be Plymouth Armada taking the advantage once again, 3-2 now. They are going to be very keen to take this. It was a site that they won last time we played on there. Even with really not the best operators for the job. You commented on it at the time, X. They had a Thermite, for example, which isn't really needed for this site, but it didn't impact them too much. They still got a good win on there. They cleared out site very quickly, got themselves in, cleared the Ella out, cleared the castle out very well, and managed to get the diffuser down. So great plays at the last time we saw them on lobby. Plymouth are going to be very, very keen to take this one and get themselves 4-2 up and into a real advantage coming into their defensive phase.
Historically, in the previous 2 maps that we've seen, they've both finished the first phase at 3-3, which is no surprise because these teams are very well matched, and I'm sure it's going to come down to a 1v1 in overtime or something like that. That's going to be all that separates.
They're both out of ammo and down to pistol.
Yeah, it's a knife fight outside. That's going to be what separates these teams. Now, we've commented on it before. Bristol know how they want to play Siege, and I really like that. They have clear ideas of how they want to hold things. We saw Ella back when they defended lobby in round 2. And the same way that they play Smoke downstairs in garage, they always play Smoke over inside of archives, and I can only imagine he's on cameras and he's trying to feed information, which is fine, but I don't feel like it's working because they need him further up, and it's the same with the Ella. I didn't feel like the Ella in antechamber was doing all too much. If you're going to play the Ella in that position, maybe put her on the shotgun, because she's going to be seeing some close range engagements. If you just say, Ella, look after the top of Yellow Stairs, you've got the shotgun to do so, go and have some fun with it. That is something that can be achieved. The Scorpion didn't really work out last time. Something else that they could be bringing is the Mirror, because Mirror is, of course, available, but we've not seen Mirror brought yet today. 17 is going to be upstairs, over inside console office. I think he knows that there's people outside on West Rappel. He's going to ping that for his team, get himself on over into bathroom, maybe just take a bit of stock, jump on a camera and see if there's anything he can find out. Legion, last time in round 2, could have had a field day jumping outside of the balcony, jumping onto the balcony, and that would have resulted in 2 quite easy kills. And I think as the round progresses, you should look to maybe do that this round, because that was something that could have really generated some kills. And it was the kills that the Bristol Smugglers were lacking last time. They didn't see any pressure top floor at all. Anxious Emu spent the whole round in his drone. 21 will find an opener onto Slithermore. That's a massive kill. Slithermore's been a very influential player on the side of the Armada, And to lose him early, well, in the first half of the round is going to be a big loss indeed, especially with Maestro on the board and the Twitch being able to deal with those evil eyes.
A slower push from Plymouth this time than we saw last time they attacked this site. They've still got 3 men outside the map, but that should start to speed things up a bit as Bumble Bishop gets the kill onto Whiston. Castle will follow with a kill from Anxious Emu as they go into the site now. 4-on-3, and what a great reverse kill on the hatch there. Bumble Bishop getting the kill onto 20, kick 24. This is all falling apart very quickly. Nige gets in, starts to get that diffuser down. That leaves us 4 versus 1. Jaeger has it all to do here. Will he get the first? No, he challenges the Blackbeard, who will turn and get the kill through onto the Jaeger. Anxious Emu with a double kill, just finishing things off for his team there.
Blackbeard with the turn and burn. Anxious Emu seems to have found his operator now. He's doing pretty well on the Blackbeard on attack.
He is.
Struggling a little bit on the Ash, not really seeing the support from his team that's necessary, often finding himself droning in for himself, but moving over onto the Blackbeard, we're seeing him get a couple of kills. The face shield's obviously helping a little bit.
If you're taking those early peaks and deaths, get a face shield.
Get a face shield. Bumble Bishop, the man in the right place at the right time. 11-4 on a tear in these first 6 rounds. This is, of course, time to switch things up. Plymouth Armada now going to show us what they've got on defence, and it is on the Bristol Smugglers to show us what they have got on attack. The previous 2 games did end 3-3 at the end of the first stage, so Plymouth Armada, this is going to be the first time that they're up at the halfway mark. First time that either team is up at the halfway mark, and what a map to be doing it in. This is, of course, the decider. Both teams picking up 1 map apiece, 1 on Villa, 1 on Border. It's all to play for now, and the Smugglers don't want to find themselves too far behind.
Absolutely not. I think if it goes 5-2 here, the Bristol Smugglers will start to find themselves having a real problem, because then you've still got Garage, you've got another console defence that the Armada can have once they've stayed 2 rounds away from it. So this could well be a very pivotal round. That said, we've never seen, I don't think we've actually seen, I could be wrong, other than the first map that went 3-0 up. After that point, we haven't seen these teams more than 2 rounds apart. So it wouldn't surprise me to see Bristol come back here. They've shown a lot of good fights so far and get themselves back into it. So we're going to be moving into the action phase of round number 7 then. The difficulty here is that Plymouth have got themselves on the defence, and if you play your cards right on Consular, I would say that it can quite often favour the defenders on a couple of the sites. If they can have an effective roam game, if they can keep them from getting into the map, those are going to be the key things that Plymouth need to do here. It looks like we're going to see a good amount of attention paid towards yellow stairs. Buck moving in and just very quickly opening up the top of that closet area, which could potentially see nades raining in. One will go, but it does miss its target, unfortunately.
It is going to, I think it's down the Rook, and it got the hatch open, and Rook's been able to drop through the hatch, just waiting to be picked up. Anxious Emu going to come in clutch on the roam as the Vigil and pick up his teammate. It is going to go untraded, which is a bit of a shame for Bristol Smugglers, but think of all that control they've just gained over B, and no one was on the rappel to take advantage of it. Buck is going to find himself over on that rappel now, and if no one's playing in connector, which I'm not sure if they are, it could just be a free entry on into the site, try and get something down. No one playing over on in the site. Bumble Bishop's now been allowed to rotate over into connector, and I think that's the advantage that Bristol Smugglers need to be taking. They need to be seeing that window of opportunity and really capitalising on it, because so far we're halfway into the round, and there's pretty much 5 players on the roof. I think Zophia's just got down onto rappel, and now the push is totally switched over onto admin. Admin notoriously difficult to try and clear out. 3 players going to rappel on in. Slithermore playing just inside of Soda Machine. Whiston going to be doing some drone work. Slithermore probably going to rotate off. Oh, he's going to go into copy room. He's going to go for the aggressive stance. He's going to get downed in the process. Just take a good number of hit points off the Thatcher when a 4 versus 5. That isn't what he was going to be looking for his team, as Rook is lit as well. Bumble Bishop now, his attention has been turned, and he's looking over toward Meeting and the top of Visa Stairs. Nige still playing on side of yellow, and Anxious Emu underneath. Anxious Emu could be pretty big in this round if he comes up clutch with a nice rotate. 45 seconds left to go, and it really is all to play for.
It is all to play for, and I like to see this from an attacking team sometimes. Just switching your push. If you're not making any progress, don't keep banging your head against a brick wall. Don't lose men to trying to push an angle that's not there. So I like to see that they've moved themselves over to that admin side. They're going to have to be careful of Kick 24. He's just waiting for his opportunity, moving back up those spiral stairs to challenge on long desk. Anxious Emu will lose his life. Nige will get 2 for himself, and a 3rd comes in for Bumble Bishop, so that is going to swing things in favour of the defenders here. Nige playing a great game from Bathroom. Kick 24 on that spiral staircase, and it's just all fallen apart for Bristol very quickly. Bumble Bishop moves in and gets the planter, finishing things off for the Plymouth Armada, and things are going to get difficult for Bristol from here. Plymouth Armada 2 wins away from that title of Belong Arena Rainbow Six champions.
The window of opportunity was really there for Bristol then. All the kills were, all the defenders were in the right places, and they were there to be killed, they were there to be taken out. I don't think that Bristol had that much information when they made that switch. They did spend a large portion of the time on the roof, and it's such a shame because they made really good progress over on B, but they just didn't know it. And sometimes that's just Siege. You don't always know the progress that you've made, especially when you're dealing with throwables or you're dealing with something that you're actually putting out there and then can't see. Don't forget, these players are playing with points off. This is under a competitive rule set, if you will, so they don't know if they've got a down. They can just hear it, they can just, you know, check points on the scoreboard, but that can be, you know, difficult, and you've got to, you know, do heat of the moment maths, so it's not always so simple. And I think that's where the Bristol Smugglers have just fallen there. It's a shame to see them only on 2 rounds, because I think as it stands, I've had them winning at least 1 of the last 3, but Armada are on a bit of a tear, and if they get onto match point, I don't think that Bristol are going to be able to stop them. It's going to be a bit of a tough battle for them, especially downstairs now in Garage. This is, of course, somewhere that the Armada defended. Sorry, the Armada attacked onto very successfully, and Bristol did struggle to defend. So we could see it being a bit of an attacker side at Garage. Maybe that's the way it's going to play out. We will have to see.
Garage can be tough to defend. I think it's got a reputation of being one of the sites on Consulate where you go to and you can defend it out and it's not too much of a problem. But generally speaking, Garage can be a bit of a problem. You can get that triple wall opened up very easily, get in and get the plant down in front of White Van, and it can be a tough one to defend. So we'll see what Plymouth Armada can do with it. We're going to have Slithermore just castling off those round stairs so that it can't get the back push. They're certainly aware of the potential for that, but it looks like Bristol Smugglers are going to be pushing from that west side onto the Garage door.
I mean, the Garage can be defended. Sometimes it's better to not bandit it, and then the attackers don't think to go upstairs into Piano, and then all of a sudden, as a defender, you can go upstairs into Piano, and once the Garage wall's open, you've got a free line of sight onto anybody that's pushing in. That can be something that works. Nige isn't having the best time trying to bandit trick, but I think he's going to grab the first one. No vertical pressure coming through from the Smugglers, and that is going to hurt them. The bandit charge has been placed, but it will not be sufficient. The wall will be opened in the middle, less than ideal spot. Sophia will find that one onto Nige as he has used all his shockwaves. And is a plant going to come out straight away? The plant is actually going down. Anxious Emu, you're going to have to push up if you're going to want to get this kill. He's going to get it with ease, but no, Slithermore's going to steal it from beneath his feet. 4 versus 4. Anxious Emu now being allowed to rotate back over onto Pillar, and under the cover of smoke, Thermite is now going to try and recover that diffuser, but the asphyxiating bolts went down as well, and Thermite is about 1 health and a dream. It's all falling apart for the Smugglers. They're rushing, trying to make something happen. Whiston now just jumping into his drone, seeing if he can find anything out, but all he's going to find, and there's a lot of defenders over on that half wall, half side area, ready to try and defend.
And defend they will. They've got themselves locked into some good angles here. They're now 4 versus 4. We've got Thermite either down or very, very late. He's got the diffuser in hand, so he must just be on about 1 HP. They're having to change up what they're doing. They did this last time. They had to switch over to admin. They're now trying to get themselves into Piano. They've only got a minute left to go, and the focus of the attack has completely changed. It's not always a bad thing if something isn't working, but with a minute to go and Castle's on the backside, this is going to get very, very difficult. They could potentially, in fact, no, they can't blow a hatch because they've had 1 charge for Thermite Bandit tricked, and then the other one has opened the Garage door, so they can't open any hatches that aren't already soft, and it's going to be very difficult from here.
And something else that neither team has done so far this evening is actually bring breaching charges. We've seen so many claymores brought this evening, and breaching charges are really good against castles. And a lot of castle is being played. I'm not sure why we're seeing like 4 claymores because we're not really seeing that many Claymore kills. I know it deters from the push coming through on the flank, but sometimes the breaching charge can be really valuable, especially if you're going to find yourself in this position where you want to totally redirect your push, because it can just provide quick lines of sight on into the site. Whiston, however, has got himself over into Cafeteria. He's faced with 2. He doesn't manage to find either. Slithermore will cut him down. 3 versus 2 now as the flood comes through the garage door. Bumble Bishop, right place, right time. 2 kills to close things out for the Armada. Look at this angle at the top of Yellow Stairs, as easy as that.
Very well defended there, and I think Bristol just hurt themselves a little bit with that late change again. It's 2 rounds in a row that they've done that, where they've just decided with a minute 15 to go that this push isn't working, we need to go and move somewhere else. And as I say, that's fine to avoid yourself just running into a problem repeatedly, but you have to be prepared for doing it. You know, there's castles on that rear side that they don't seem to know about. So then when you change and you get down there, you've got 40 seconds and a new problem to deal with. So you have to funnel in through Cafeteria. Whiston did that and was met with 2 guns and died, and then it all just fell apart from there. So well defended from Plymouth Armada there, very staunchly defending that garage breach, not allowing them any real estate in getting in through there and getting the diffuser down. And that puts them onto match point, and they've got 4 attempts now to get this cleared out, and I think this is going to be very difficult for the Bristol Smugglers from here.
We've seen Bristol put themselves in difficult positions before, and we've seen them do very well in doing so and actually coming out with the result at the end of the day. But when the prize is this big, when the stage is this big, it's going to be so difficult to try and come back from that. And the way that Plymouth are playing is they're just playing Consulate very, very well indeed. They're not really leaving anything to chance. The defending, like you say, it's just a rock-solid defence. I don't know if it's that they've maybe kept the cool a little bit and they've been able to focus and compose themselves. Bristol have come down on the bad side of luck a couple of times on Consulate, and you know, maybe there's a bit of a tilt factor in there. It can be difficult to get over that when, you know, things don't start going your way and you've got to change things up on the fly, especially if it's a map that you weren't necessarily planning on going to, with it being the decider. It's, you know, maybe fair to say that I think Villa or Border could have been either of these team picks, but on the day it seems that Plymouth Armada have got a better Consulate game than the Smugglers. Yeah,
and it's, you know, when you look at map picks, and it's something that we've said before, with these teams and the way they're developing and the way they're working and building as teams, they need to get comfortable on all the competitive maps. That's something they need to do as a priority, so that even if they don't necessarily get the bans that they particularly want, they're still able to get in there and compete. We've got them mixing it up now, and this is what I like to see from Bristol. What they've been doing hasn't been working, so they're trying something new. I'm not sure exactly how well Monty fits into a lobby push, potentially through those double doors, but that's not where they're using him at this point. So we'll see how that pans out. We've got Anxious Emu just holding himself back there on those Visa stairs, and he's just going to wait and bide his time, and if he hears anybody pushing in through the Visas, he's going to move into challenge, but it also allows him just to rotate quickly up onto top floor, as we can see he's done there, and he's going to be able to challenge when these players move through admin. So we're down to about 1 minute 30 to go, and we've got 5 players still alive on either side.
Due to the very nature of how much this round means, it is fair to say it's going to be a little bit slower. Monty has now found himself at the main door to lobby. This is more typical of the push. Smoke canisters are coming through from either side, and Bumble Bishop is poised, lying in wait. Smoke playing upstairs as well, so he could have a good impact, especially if he has the shotgun and he's got some line of sight open, which it looks like he does. The plant could come through here, but I think that Bristol Smugglers are going to have to try and clear out a couple of the defenders before that plant comes through. Not a lot of top floor pressure coming on to Nige, and if that's the case, he's going to be able to toss the Toxic Babe canisters down there for fun. Opening kill coming out for Bristol. That's going to be everything they need, especially onto Bumble Bishop. He's been the man of this game so far. He's not seemed to put a foot wrong, but he will get killed on the window there, unfortunately for him and his team. It does leave Slithermore over on inside piano, just watching onto the window. I think Twitch looks like she's itching to get in on the rappel, but Slithermore just biding his time, getting the goo mines out there and trying to slow down this push as we enter the final 35 seconds. It's going to have to be a push from Bristol. They're going to need to try and get this plan plant down. They're going to find a kill, or at least a down over onto Anxious Emu that will get traded out, but Smoke comes through with a beautiful 3K. What about that? 3-2 now in favor of the Armada, just as it didn't look to be going their way. 2-2. Bristol will claw one back. 17 seconds left to go. Nige still upstairs. No Toxic Base. He's going to drop down. The diffuser is in hand, but it is not being planted as of yet. It's going to come down to kills. We've got Hibana making her way through onto console desk. A down comes through from the Twitch. A 1 versus 1. Slithermore finds the one onto Hibana, who is going to grab the kill. The time will run out, unfortunately for Bristol, but congratulations to the Armada.
How about that for Plymouth? You can see how much it means to these players as they jump up to celebrate. It really has. It's been a long match for them. They've had to go all the way to that third map on Consulate, and then I think maybe a little bit of fatigue towards the end there, just creeping in for Bristol, and they just lost that keen edge that they'd had through border, lost some of the gunfights, and the Plymouth Armada are able to take that match and head over to shake hands with Bristol Smugglers. Great sportsmanship being shown here, smiles all round, and what a fantastic event we've had, what a fantastic map, and what a way to finish it.
Just look at how much fun both these teams are having, even in the handshake. Smiles all around, like you say, and you can just see the emotion as well. What a great evening. What a great evening of Siege.
Yeah, it's been amazing, you know, and not only is it a great evening of Siege, not only have we seen some great gameplay, what a great advert for what Belong Arena are doing here. You know, these guys, like we keep saying, have got themselves down to local shops. You can see them, how they're enjoying playing with each other, and like we said, smiles all around. They've really, really enjoyed themselves, and they're going to be able to go away and continue working as a team. They've met, you know, new friends, new players, getting into games regularly, I'm sure, and working as a team. So we're going to have a look now at how it happened. We'll get over onto some replays for you, and we will see some of the best players that we've just seen there on Consulate.
Nige really came out of nowhere, starting, I guess, in sort of border. Now, we've seen Nige do good work throughout the weeks. I do believe that he may be playing under a account name for a couple of the week matches. That's maybe why the name is a little bit new, but he's been doing some very good work this evening. What about his plays on border? What about that last 3K that he was able to get as the Smoke?
Absolutely shuts it down.
Like
Absolutely shut it down.
The Armada had 4 attempts at a match point, or to convert the match point at least before we were looking at potential overtime. But big 3K there.
Absolutely. Like you say, he just commanded that meeting room so well for that lobby defence, and just got a flurry of kills when it really mattered for his team. And this is sort of indicative of the positions that Bristol were finding themselves in quite often there, and it was just down to those last 20-30 seconds attempt at getting a plant down 1 versus 3, and they just really never managed to get a foothold on Consulate. And it's a shame because we've seen them play so well throughout the night, but I think if we look at the season overall, we've got Plymouth who've come in an entire season, they've lost 2 maps, and I don't think anybody can argue that this team has definitely earned the title here tonight. The first Arena Clash win, I believe, for the Plymouth Armada as well across any of the titles. So, you know, what a fantastic bit of kudos for them to be able to get back to the store and be the team that's brought a trophy back as well, this fantastic trophy that we've got.
Especially with it being the first Rainbow Six Siege trophy.
Yeah, that's it.
Day of first for Plymouth. And it just goes to show that those players really deserve it. And I think, you know, either team could have won today. Like you say, the result that Plymouth have shown throughout the whole course of the groups, only losing 2 maps. What a fantastic way to close things out.
Fantastic indeed. And speaking of which, we are now going to hand you back over to our stage host, Stu, who's going to be having a chat with some of the winners.
Thank you very much, guys. I hope you've not got plans tomorrow. I think you deserve a good night's sleep after that one. Thank you so much to everyone who stayed with us to watch that. What a fantastic finals. Let's give a round of applause to both teams. Both teams are absolute heroes for that. What a battle. Let's talk to Wiston first. Wiston, you're in a pickle straight off the bat, but you guys just came back over and over again.
Yeah, it was one of those things where we were seeing actually what they were doing and we were kind of adapting to it, but then they started adapting straight back to us. So it was kind of that back and forth play that eventually, I think it was with Villa, luckily they managed to get it, but we managed to pull it back on the border, which was quite fun.
Now, of course, we had that break, and I was wondering what all of you were saying to each other. What was the team talk for you?
So the team talk for us, following on from that Villa game, was that we weren't droning and we weren't doing what we plan on doing, which was the 3 attackers, 2 droners, going through, sweeping out, taking out the flaggers, the roamers, and then actually going and sort of attacking from the vertical sort of plays on them, to then take out who actually is left in that objective room, which on border actually worked really well and we actually secured the win.
And Tenacious D, I've just always wanted to say your name actually. No, I've got a question for you. Now, we talked to the team earlier and you guys were saying how much your communication when it first started off wasn't great and it's improved over the course of the clash. How have you worked on it and how much has it improved?
Honestly, it's just because over the time we've just become better friends and we keep hanging out every Friday, just meet up at Belong Centers, and it's just such a fun experience to actually just be better than just strangers, you know?
So positive even after that. Guys, you are absolute heroes. You have won yourself a load of Control Freak gear, which will be winging its way towards you. Congratulations for coming second. Give them a big round. There we go, very well deserved. And over to the winners. I've always wanted to say this name as well, Dirty Nige. We are past the watershed. You just pushed us past that watershed so I can say your name. It's only because your room's dirty all the time, yeah? You could be cluttery, Nige.
Yeah, my room's always just a bit of a mess, really.
Well, you guys played so well. Let's go back to that team talk. Let's go back to what you guys were saying to each other. How did you feel? Were you confident?
We were very confident at the start because we beat Norfolk last week and that was a really close match. And then Bumble Bishop picked up that Norfolk beat Bristol before, so we're like, okay, we have a chance here. But then really, this was definitely the toughest match we've had. And they picked up their game from, I don't know how they lost to Norfolk because they were so much better. Not to be bad to Norfolk, they're really good because that went right to the edge as well. But, no.
I was listening to Ace and X and they said a couple of times composure, which is ironic because I asked you guys what was probably the thing you've improved most on from the start of the Arena Clash. And you said, oh, when we first started, we get angry, we were cursing at ourselves. So how has that composure improved and who maybe has improved the most?
I'd say Bumble Bishop has improved the most. He used to be able to shout a fair amount, but now he keeps us cool. We tell him it's all right. Because I have to admit, I did shout a couple times that match. It's because we've played with each other for so long, like over a year, and we just know that we can do better. But then we just have to say, it's okay, that round's over, get to the next one, adapt.
I've just spent one night watching your games and I feel like I've known you all my life. In any case, guys, congratulations. You are the champions and you deserve that fantastic trophy. Please do take it and hold it aloft. Give them a round of applause. Look at the Smugglers as well. Fantastic. So well deserved. Enjoy it, guys. Now we're going to throw you back to Ace and X, who are going to tell you about some more champions.
Champions all over the place indeed. We've got 3 more awards that are going to be given for progress over the season, essentially. We've got an MVP award for who we judge to be one of the most valuable players. We've had some fantastic players throughout the season, so you know it's been so difficult to single one out, but we have picked somebody who will be your MVP for the season. We've got a community champion award that has been voted for by you, the community, and that's looking for somebody who has not only been a good player but has interacted with the teams, with the other teams, helped their players in some way, and just really helped to make it a fun environment and a great place to play and a great community to be a part of. And then last but not least, we've also got a Fighting Spirit Award, so that's going out to a team that has really shown some grit and determination to improve and to always turn up and make sure that they're really there and involved.
We do. So we're going to open things up with the MVP vote, and it is going to be Not Titan. Or Titan. I don't know. Whichever one you want. But Not Titan is his game attack, and he is going to be our MVP vote. He does come from Norwich, and he did, of course, face off last week in the playoffs. Very good players. Ones that stand out to mind, some key plays of his. A great Zafir player. And as we've seen so far this evening, Zafir can be such a key part of the attacking lineup that it's very important to have somebody that can not only frag out but make full use of the utility as well. So Not Tyrants, you are our MVP for this season. Congratulations.
Moving on to your community champion then. So we had many votes come in from the community for who you felt was really helping to build this scene within Belong and helping other players to have fun and really enjoy the game, as well as being a good player as well, I'm sure. And the winner of the Community Champion will be Triple R of the Kingston Harriers. Very positive words about his communication and his efforts with the team. So well done, Triple R. You're the Community Champion.
It's always nice to get that sort of stuff fed back as well. It really means a lot when we can read through the applications and through the votes, and it's got like a nice little sentence that, you know, that was what we were reading through to find out who we liked the most. So yeah, Triple R, congratulations. And moving now on to the fighting spirit. Now, of course, Siege is a difficult game to get your head around. This has been the first time that Siege has been in the arena clash, and as we can see, the Plymouth Armada, they've been playing together for about a year, they said then on stage, so quite a considerable amount of time. We know that the Bristol Smugglers themselves, they've not been playing together all too long. I think there was 3 guys on that side that didn't know each other, so you can just see the spread of ability in Siege and how difficult it can be to get that team and get that coercion. So our fighting spirit team is going to be the Tyneside Guardians. Put up a great fight throughout the season, and I hope to see them again in future clashes.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know, hopefully our final words will obviously be how great this has been. What an exciting event to be part of. We're very fortunate and thankful to everybody at Belong for involving us and having us with you, and hopefully we've brought you the entertainment that you hope for. It's been a fantastic season, and what better advert to go and get involved than this final. You know, get yourself down. Hopefully we see Siege returning to the arena clash in future, and if it does, get yourself down there and get involved, get on those teams, make some new friends, play some same room gaming, and have a fantastic time. And who knows, you could be on the stage at the NEC for next time. That's a good night from me.
Good night from me.
And we'll pass you back to Stu. Thank you very much for watching.
I think you just recycled someone else's catchphrase there, guys. Anyway, thank you so much for an unbelievable cast. Really, really great from Ace and X. And also, thank you to Control Freak, who are also giving prizes to our winners, Dirty Nigel and the crew. They're going to get you new shirts that say that. Congratulations. Look at all that Control Freak gear and lanyards. Absolutely fantastic. Now, of course, we will be back with you tomorrow for some more arena cash for FIFA, League of Legends, and Overwatch. We'll see you tomorrow.